pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like stamps and I can't let no holder lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying. This shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert. Another cop just stretch the nigga. He a demon, it's an exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. Fuck the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit, and I ain't listening. Is it fact if revenge was a woman, now I stroke that bitch like Jake. So Tower War, we gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real triggering on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? When he saying something, I ain't hear him. This shit light. It ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain. 6 shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand and feed you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow sign, yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my bread, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get that boy lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
For homicide detectives, the clock starts ticking. The moment they are called, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they don't get a lead within the first 48 hours.
I do anything to keep my brothers safe. I'm putting food on my daughter's plate. You fucking losers, y'all just can't relate. You harm them, you will find me on the verse 48. You will find me on the verse 48. Find me on the verse 48. I do anything to keep my daughters safe. You harm them, you will find me on the verse 48. Sitting in that room, hear the interrogator's voice. They asking why I do it, I tell them I had no choice. Couldn't take a threat or a risk to my family, so throw the book at me, I take them charges happily. Ain't no need for no polygraphs or forensics. I put that fucker in a body bag, I'll admit it. Fuck a sentence or the jury that will convict me. They don't understand, it's my family, they represent me. So for them, I risk my freedom, roll the dice. I ain't got much more for you crackers, go ahead and give me life. You don't know what it's like for the people that you love. They ain't there to get salutes, they ain't there to give you hugs. The same that done pull me from the dirt and from the mud, it's gone because of who? Y'all rather shed your blood. My brother's kids like my other kids. If you touch them, fuck around, get another bid, plus 10. Put me in the Supermax, I get super jacked, working out every day, canteen super stack, cool with that. Long as it mean my daughter's safe, my brother's winning, that's a chance I take. Still my fate. I do anything to keep my brothers safe. I'm putting food on my daughter's plate. You fucking losers, y'all just can't relate. You harm them, you will find me on the first 48. I got wives that done gave they all to stand beside me. Kids that can't see me fall, look at me proudly. Respected by men with honor up on their names. You harm one of them, I promise that you'll see pain. I'm one West train, made an oath to uphold it. Stood with my back against the wall, never folded. Grew up in the city where the love ain't brotherly. I ain't had too many friends, I ain't need the company. I'm my father's son, so I'm cool, just don't fuck with me. I say that you my homie, you're my brother, then you stuck with me. Never turn my back on mine, it's to the dirt. You cross them across that line, I end you first. What only make it worse is loyalty hard to find. Never never think, cause you out of sight, you out of mind. And I don't mind dying now, cause reincarnation got me coming back. Same scars in my heart aching. Be parlaying with killers from all places. Every last one of them for me a broad day shit. So what you think? I won't do it for them. Once they let me out the cell, shit, I do it again. It's for the family. I do anything to keep my brother safe. I'm putting food on my daughter's plate. You fucking losers, y'all just can't relate. You harm them, you will find me on the first 48. Find me on the first 48. Find me on the first 48. I do anything to keep my people safe. You harm them, you will find me on the first 48.
All right, let's clap it up. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatham to all the Akim, Yahweh Shema Atham Bashem Yahshua to all the sisters. I am priest and officer 500, but Kawashia. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started off 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yahanna. Since 1969, we've been teaching the truth of the Bible, and the truth is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the true Jews, according to the Bible, and that our oppressor is a devil that the Bible speaks of. What we're going to get into tonight, before I start that, type in your questions. If anybody has any questions, type in your questions. So when Kat gets down here, I'm just holding it down for Priest and Captain Mashak. Once he gets here, I'm holding it down for him. Once he gets here, he'll answer all the questions. Just type in your questions in the chat if you got any questions. And are there any questions in the room? I know you had one. We're gonna hold that. We're gonna hold that one for Cap. Matter of fact, just when you get a chance, pull that scripture and hold that for Cap when he gets here. Right. So this week has been a very eventful week. Very eventful week. We had the oppressors Independence Day celebration, and in that Independence Day celebration, I was talking about how at the time when I had given my class, I didn't know who the person was who shot up them people up in Highland Park, but just by the description of the event of the terrorist attack, it couldn't have been us. Because when we do dirt, unfortunately, we do dirt. Israel does do dirt, but when we do dirt, it has nothing to do with something as cowardly as doing something as this coward has done. A lot of times, Israel is boastful and brash about our sins, and we're in your face about this stuff. This dude, he did something entirely cowardly, and you can just tell the spirit of the oppressor on what he does on his own celebration, on his own day of celebration. This is the spirit of ISUPK, sir. Slag, sir, you want to take the class?
Go ahead. 1 second.
Kind. This is the spirit of the oppressor. This is the spirit of the oppressor. And the oppressor is nothing but a coward and a vile murderer. He did something so cowardly as to go up on top of a roof and just start shooting at a parade. And this is supposed to be, like I said, his celebration. This wasn't a time to celebrate blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians or any other heathen for that matter. This was a celebration for his people and all the rotten, disgusting, evil things that they have done. You know what I'm saying? And he honored that tradition, that ideology, with committing more mass murder. When can we even be safe? Can the Jakes be safe celebrating the oppressors' holidays? No. This is one of the main reasons why we shouldn't celebrate their holidays. Right. And with that, I pass the class to Priest and Officer Kazak Ahmad.
All right. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Barakatham to the brothers. Yahweh Shema Atham B'Hashem Yahweh to the sisters. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, out of Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yahanna. We are not affiliated with no other Israelite group or Christian organization, and we teach the truth according to the Bible. And that's that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are God's holy people, according to the Bible. You understand? And the oppressor is the devil. And from what it sounded like, Bakwashi, you was going into that shooting in Highland Park where the devil shot the parade. And at this point, for any of you out there that come up against the I.S.U.P.K, when we go on the street corners and we call the oppressor the devil, you now have to present your cause as to why you say he's not. Like, no longer should we have to prove that he is. You understand? Like, we've been going on the street corner since 1969. We've been teaching classes every goddamn day of the week. You understand? And right in front of your eyes, what the priests and prophets are saying is unfolding in real time, in real life. So at this point, any of you that have any grievances or disagreements about the white man being the devil, you now have to give a strong case as to why he isn't. And of course, you'll find out that they don't have a strong case. It's all about Christianity. You understand? That's why they love the oppressor. They don't have a reason to love the oppressor. And let me help you too. Christians don't even really love black Christians don't even love white people. If they did, they wouldn't be in a separate church. Why is it that black people go to black churches and white people go to white churches? I thought we was all love. God loved everybody. But what you find out is black people don't even love white people. They just come up against us for saying what is the reality. You understand? And we follow these wicked leaders into joining ourselves with the people that will shoot up a damn parade. Right. You understand? A person that will shoot up a parade, like you just said, Bakwash, commemorating your nation's holiday. That holiday, July 4th, is not blacks and Hispanics holiday. That has nothing to do with us. You understand? And yet still we ignorantly go and celebrate it. And that devil went and shot the parade up. But you shouldn't be surprised, because that's how America was started. What that devil did in Highland Park is the American way. And that's the part that everybody wants to now put their tongue in their cheek about and not talk about it. What that devil did, shooting multiple people at a parade, is the American way. That's what the Americans did to separate themselves from the British. They try to play it down in history how they were civilized people and they wrote these letters and they were, they brainwash us. They program us in these schools to believe that the United States was formed by upstanding gentlemen, by men who had higher hopes of civilization. And they give us all these different things. And that's not the reality. The reality is the United States was founded by criminals, traitors to their nation, drug addicts, drug dealers, rapists, murderers, the absolute worst of society. You understand? That's who America was founded by. And they did it through murder. They murdered 77 million Native Americans to get this land and stole it. And once they were oppressing our Native Americans so much into slavery that they were dying so goddamn fast, they had to come now and get the Native Americans brothers when they took us from the west coast of Africa. And they brought us over here and we worked the land for free. Go ahead, Shapak.
It said 30% of all mass shootings around the world are from America.
30%, a third. And then I'll go even further. This is just a statistic I'm pulling from thin air, but I want to put money on it that 80% are committed by white men. And so with that logic alone, the white man is the mass shooter on the earth. He is the devil. You understand? And the word devil means deceiver. These people have deceived the entire earth into believing that they are the people of the Bible. They are God's people when they're not God's chosen people. I seen a video on Facebook the other day, and it showed a plane full of Ethiopians. A plane, it said Air Ethiopia on the side or whatever, Ethiopia Air, and a plane full of them airhead, bubblehead Ethiopians getting off the plane. And it's a white Jewish lady reporting on a tarmac, and she's so excited. She's like, the lost tribe of Dan is finally returning back to Israel. Go ahead, Pagabwa, do your thing. Yeah, I'll take one, Baba Bashar. Two water bottles. She said, the lost tribe of Dan is finally returning to the land of Israel. And brother, I'm sitting there, and I'm just watching it, and I'm mad, but I'm laughing because I was like, they will say anybody is God's people except God's people. Right. Black man, they will give your heritage and culture and identity to anybody else except you. You can't have it. But some stinking Ethiopian is the lost tribe of Dan. Brother, I went in on the damn live. Every time I'm waiting, every time I check my phone and go to Facebook, I'm expecting me to be blocked for 30 days again because, brother, I just can't help myself. I was like, this is a travesty to the Lord's records, the Bible, because the Lord speaks against Ethiopians in the Bible. The Lord speaks against the white man in the Bible. Right. They're not the children of Israel. The children of Israel are black, and I can prove it to you. Go ahead, Shapap.
Not to mention the tribe of Dan is kind of like disintegrated into Manasseh.
Right, and it's assimilated into Manasseh. So the tribe of Dan is not even a formal tribe anymore. You understand? They weren't making as many children, and so they had to now form into the tribe of Manasseh. So if you're a Danite, according to the Bible, you would be the tribe of Manasseh. You understand? So that the whole doctrine is trash. It was hilarious, but really they're trying so hard to do damage control on the face of the earth because of the work we're doing. Go ahead, Bakwash.
Like when you said that, it reminded me of a TikTok video I saw about these two Jewish men. They said
I seen it.
You seen it, right? Mm-hmm. With the it was a caption that said "You're not
the real Jews,"
and it was just like
crying in the
tub, right? And it was like, "This is how you expect us to react?"
Yeah.
And then he coughed up $100 bill and they was playing our music.
Yeah.
These bastards know and they don't give a damn.
Right. They know.
They don't give a damn when Christ comes back.
Give me Revelations 2:9. Revelations 2:9. I seen that video, and the funny part is, if anybody was paying attention, they never disputed the claim that they're not real Jews. They just said, like, why should we care? We got money. That's pretty much what they said. So what? We rich, nigga. So what? We rich. So therefore, because we're rich, what we say goes. And that's how things operate in this society right now. And that's why Christ is going to come back and destroy this society. Go ahead, Bakwash.
It's like on another note, but on the same note.
Yeah.
It just shows in that video how like physically disgusting they are. Because this dude took money out of his mouth.
That's the part that got me. I was like, so I'm watching from the beginning. I'm like, so you sat right there with that garbage in your cheek. And then you coughed it out for a video, brother. I'm not that dedicated to no TikTok. You know what I'm saying? My followers gonna have to they got to do a cut scene. It's right. Like here, and then cut scene is here. Because I'm not putting money in my mouth, but they worship money. That's their God. And this society, truth doesn't matter. Money matters. And whoever has the most money controls the narrative. Right. That's why Christ is going to destroy this place. Whoever got that, go ahead and read. Excuse me.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know that works.
I know that works. That's one thing we know all too well as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Those two Jewish boys in the video, do you think they worked a hard day in their goddamn privileged lives ever? No, they haven't. They never worked a hard day's work of labor. You understand, in their lives ever. You know who does work? We do. Many of us got jobs at 14. You understand? Was lying about our age just to go work. You understand? Like, how old are you? 16 or 18 or 17? When you're 14 years old, working at Wendy's, working at McDonald's, because we are the ones that work. If you're watching this and you Black, Hispanic, or Native American, do not let anybody sit in your face and call you lazy. Don't accept that, because that is an absolute lie. Right. We are the hardest working people on the face of the goddamn earth. Forget about the Hispanic tribes, brother. I don't even like working with Hispanic brothers because it really highlights just how lazy, you understand, I am. You understand? But we are the hardest working people. Keep reading. Shalom, sir.
Who we belong to?
He said who we belong to. Damn right. Damn right. You coming up now, sir? No sweat, sir. Right, keep reading where you at. Okay. Keep reading.
Okay. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation.
And tribulation, hard times, suffering. You understand? I was talking to Arawadi last night, and I was like, it's crazy how the life we live as Black people, we lose friends like we in the military or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, such and such just got killed or such as died. And it's like, damn, it's like we live lives as civilians, how men in the military live, where they get calls. If you're in the military, you understand what I'm saying, or we're in the military, where people that serve, it's not strange for the people that they know to die left and right because they go and serve. They put their lives on the line. They go in war and then the suicides and all that. But as civilians, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, death to us is normal. It's like, you know, such and such died. Like, dang. You go to the funeral? Nah, you know, I'm tired of going to funerals. You know what I'm saying? That's the tribulation that we live in, the poverty that we live in, the suffering that we experience as a people. Nobody else can understand our suffering. Nobody else can have compassion for it. And that's why the police is able to shoot brothers 60 damn times, because they've never lived a day in our shoes. Let's clap it up. All right.
Stop where you was at. You was answering a question or something?
Nah, so we just I was speaking of what Quash was. He was talking about the Highland Park, the shooter. And, then we came on the video.
Boy, I don't know. That shit like a movie.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt that shooter don't look nothing like that nigga. That nigga, he looked like he can't even shoot his shot with the broads. You know, his friends gonna be like, shoot his shot. He'd be like, and faint.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, hit this fine here for me. It's ridiculously human, boy.
Yeah, but he also, like I said, he was talking about, I don't know if you've seen the video, the two Jewish boys, somebody put on the comments, y'all not the real Jews. And so they were responding to that comment. Two Jewish boys, they was laying in the tub with the water falling on them, and they was like looking sad. And it was like, is this how y'all expected us to react to that? And then they switched to the next scene, and they standing there laughing with nigga music playing in the background, and one of them coughed, and he pulled out $100 bill out of his mouth. Like, y'all saying that the real Jews?
He's a good ass troll.
Yeah,
I ain't seen that video. Which one was that? That was a UPK video or something?
No, sir. That was on TikTok, but somebody posted it on Facebook, so I seen it. But it was hilarious. But it was highlighting, like, they never refuted the fact that they did the whole original.
That's why I bring out. Remember, a couple of weeks ago we went over stolen valor.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important, because they really enjoying a certain amount of wealth.
Right.
You and I can't understand. Today, my rib was showing me something on Nick Cannon show, right?
Right.
I don't know if it's live or not. Just a little sidebar before we get into the topic. I don't know if it was a live show or not, but he's on there on his little talk show. You all know his talk show, right? He has a talk show like after lunch or something. Yep. So he's on there and he's honoring this this little devil, right? The devil name is Alejandro Cohen.
Okay.
So of course that's the fake Jew, right? And he honoring this devil because during Black History Month, this devil, the teachers asked the students to do some report on somebody they admire,
right.
And he chose Nick Cannon, right? So he wrapped his head in a towel like Nick Cannon, and he went through Nick Cannon's whole career from drumline to, Wild and Out. And Nick Cannon heard about it, so Nick Cannon brings him on the show. So Nick Cannon dressed him up in the same suit. They both put on the same grandmother headpiece. And Nick Cannon, bigging him up. So then they finally say, well, your class is watching. And they go to the class, brother, and I shit you not, only Black children. So out of all the Black children who did something for Black History Month, you choose the Jewish boy who did something about you.
Right.
When you said something about Jewish people 2 years ago, like he's still in their clutch. Yep. He's still pandering to them. Okay. You understand? Like, brother, I was so shocked at this shit. I was like, the class is full of Black children. It's only Black children in the class. Right. Only Black children. And this one Jewish kid, Alejandro Cohen, I was like, yeah, you ain't tricking me with that name, that Alejandro name. Like, they try to get slick in here. So it was somewhere in New York. They try to get slick with the Alejandro name. But that Cohen is showing you who he really is. And I'm talking about Nick Cannon, bring him on the show and let him host the show. Swap with him, put him in the host seat and let him control shit. And I'm like, the Jewish man got a ton of power, brother. He got a ton of power. And he has power to say, you could accuse him of the truth. Right. And then he'll say, no, it's not true. And I'm going to punish you for accusing me of the truth. Right. Like, that's the type of power he has. Right. He's an absolute oppressor. That's like this. He is something else. That's really how he is in the scriptures, where they came from behind and decided to kill us from behind. That's really his spirit, and he doesn't care. Right. He doesn't give a damn how it looks and how it looks to who. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
So,
Like my mate, sir,
mhm.
I was just doing a little reading on the term you brought up in class, the enmification,
Mhm.
and it's how it tied into how they use certain words to downplay the things that they do to us, or the suspect, the firearm is discharged, the suspect.
Right.
And the whole term collateral.
Because I'm gonna bring this. So, I'm gonna bring this back a little bit. I needed to bring that camera a little closer, all right, and raise it up a little bit more. But go ahead,
Sir. The whole term collateral damage came from the United States military during the Vietnam War to wash down the fact that they were killing civilians.
Yep.
And so
it's like, a political term.
Yeah, so it's political. So when you say like they do whatever the hell they want, and what they say that the means justify the end.
Yeah. Not the means just the ends justify the means.
Yeah,
if only we could take that approach with our sin.
God.
If we only could take that approach and be like, listen, I'm trying to get the kingdom. So by any means necessary, I'm not doing no dumb shit no more. You know what I mean? Like it would be better. Look like it leaning a little bit. Is it too wild? Or is it good? Oh, I got you. Once it's too wild, once it's straight. All right. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Hold on, Pugaibo. Let me get Pugaibo first. Pugaibo, I ain't forget you too. All right. By Saturday, I'm gonna have some footage for you. All right. Go ahead.
What's this? I want a breakdown on 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7.
Okay.
1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ.
Oh, wait, hold on, Pugaibo. I gotta catch up with you. Okay, say it again. Say where you at again.
1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ.
Okay, stop right there. Just while we here, just give me 1 Peter 1:1, all right? Just while we here.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1.
So like because you make sure to select this one.
Come.
All right, no sweat. All right, go ahead.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. Verse 2. Elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Jesus Christ.
Right. So now this just while we here, so that the Christians and them, they don't really understand the Bible. They don't understand who it's written to. And you're gonna see now, since Creflo made his statement, you're gonna see more and more attacks on the I.S.U.P.K. at this point. Like they like to talk about the Hebrew Israelite world and shit. There's no Hebrew Israelite world. There's I.S.U.P.K. and everybody else is Christian. You're gonna see more straight up attacks on what we teach, up and down. So just sidebar, you all get sharp with your Gentiles breakdowns, because that's what's going to be the next main thing. Right? They're moving like real warfare. They're attacking the money first, and then it's going to be who the people. Right? So now this scripture here, what is this one saying? What does verse 1 say now?
Saying that Peter, being the apostle of Jesus Christ, and he's going out to the scattered of Israel throughout these lands: Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. And he's going towards the elect according to the foreknowledge of God.
That's it. That's all I want to bring out. Right. So this year, this Peter, what you talking, what we're reading of here, is a letter that's really speaking to the scattered of the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? Not to everybody else, not to the whole world, not to, whoever they want to graft into the whole thing. Right. This is not to them. This is only to the 12 tribes of Israel. Right. You get me? Come on. If you want to.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5.
Guy, boy, do me a favor. You can cut this back now. Let me see how it feels. 1, 2. That's the story. Go ahead out.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5. Mm-hmm. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles and into any city of the Samaritans, enter ye not. Mm-hmm. Verse 6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right. That's it. That's where he going. Careful with the scanner when you sit, all right, boy. Right. That's where that's what this is here. That's why that's a commandment from the king. Don't go to the Gentiles, even though it's naming Gentilian cities here. Right. Somebody who's carnal is going to think Christ accepted people from Pontus, right, people from Galatia, people from Cappadocia, when that's not what it's talking about. That's the same thing them purple faggots get caught up with. Y'all see the video? Yep. Okay. Right, Ash probably going to do a translation of it real soon, but they pull the scripture in Ezra where it talks about Moses and the forefathers prayed for the Sodomites. And they think it means you're supposed to have mercy on the LGBTQ and ask the Lord to spare them. Right. That's not what it means. What does it mean? When it says pray for the Sodomites in the Apocrypha. Think about the time with who's the man again? Abraham and Lot.
He was pleading with the Most High.
For whom?
He wants them to change their ways.
Praying that there's righteous among them.
Righteous who?
Righteous men of the Lord. Israelites.
That's where you want to go with it. But of course, back then there wasn't Israel yet. But righteous men, but you want to say Israel because that's who we're talking about today. Right. But you're right. Because what did when the angel came? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Like the whole debate, or the pleading of Abraham and with the angel was, okay, I'm going to destroy the city, but it could be righteous people in that city amongst these Sodomites. Mm-hmm. So
he started counting a number. If there's 10, if there's 5, and then he said, if there's 1, will you spare the city? Right. Abraham was not praying for Sodom. Right. He was praying for his people that lived in Sodom that weren't Sodomites. Right. But them purple faggots, they start the tape. Now, this is not an attack on the LGBTQ, but the Lord said, pray for the Sodomites. Why would the purple faggots pray for Sodomites? Because they're Sodomites. They're Sodomites. They want you to pray for them. Because they're Sodom. Finally, we find somebody who said they were Sodomites in the reincarnation. Finally. They're stupid as hell and they're carnal. And that's how you know, okay, what you have in the truth, brother. Satan is he's gonna make your life so difficult and mundane at times, and like you're dragging, like you're threading in thick, deep water where you can't see your way, so that you could forget the precious thing you do have. It's easy to forget the truth being the most precious thing you have because it doesn't glitter. You can't go pay your bills with it. You can't go buy a mansion with it. But the way you live now, you might not fully appreciate it because you're in a society where we all live the same. Right. But brother, go hang out with people in the world for one night and you would realize, thank the Lord Pagaiba is here. Yeah. Thank the Lord Bakwash is here. Thank the Lord Nakamaya Kazak Shapat is here, bro. You'd appreciate the shit. You'd appreciate those brothers who have ribs in the truth. Go talk to some bitch in the world for 1 second. You'll go home and kiss your rib ankle. You'll kiss her bunion, and she look at you like, what the fuck? Because you understand what you really have, brother. And okay, without the truth, you'll still have the Bible. You still have the Apocrypha. You'll still have fringes. But you'll teach that the Lord wants the Sodomites to change, to get in the kingdom or something. I don't know. If he wanted them to change, why did he destroy them? Couldn't he just make them change? I don't know. But they want you to pray for the LGBTQ community because Jeremiah Hyman brought it out. Purple is the color of the sodomites. It's a sodomite color. It's a homosexual color.
In the LGBTQ community, the purple means spirit.
Okay, it's a little bit more than that. He went into it, but it wasn't. It was spirit. It was the spirit of. Is the spirit of the homosexual. I think you're right on it. It means the spirit of that homosexuality thing. The purple is another color too. It's the same kind, like a lighter purple. It's violet. Violet is dark, right? No, it's lighter. It's that same type of shade. It's them. But that's just why they're coming out with the shit now. You was gonna say something, Cameron?
Nah, I was saying, me and the brothers will talk about all the time. You know what I'm saying? He goes somewhere, get a bed, talk to some eat out there in the world, then they go home. Is that?
Yeah.
I said, man, I went and got my rib sunflowers that same. I got some chicken right on Facebook.
You go home and you was like, well, goddamn, you bad. You an Instagram body. You every fucking thing. Because these motherfuckers out here, and that's what you'll find. Like don't get, get comfortable in it, but don't forget. It's down here, like you can't forget where you came from, where you used to be, because it could make you now feel so not regular, but this is life now, and this is normal. Right. But you start to forget that, brother. How you live is totally on a level that's above everything. But it's really in the spirit. Right. And because we live in the flesh here in America, when I say live in the flesh, we have worldly obligations. Right. Those things could get hard, and that's why oppression does a lot of things to you. That's why oppression is, they have to keep oppression on you, because without it, you would be that spiritual person. Right. But that oppression, boy, is to make you less spiritual. Just never forget this shit, because I saw that shit, my jaw dropped. I say, Ash, is they trying to say, pray for the sodomites? And he said, yes. They said, have mercy on them. Right. I was like, well, goddamn. Goddamn then. Come on.
So like I said, just off that scripture alone, it's comparing it's similar situations, and the Lord was going to kill.
Salaki, 1 second. Are we on Clubhouse? Give Barack a call and find out if he's coming, if he's on his way. If he's not, just figure out how to get that shit up and running on that Clubhouse. I'm gonna curse some people out tonight. So go ahead.
So like I said, even in that scripture where it says Abraham prayed for the Sodomites and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness. It's the same scenario where the Most High was going to destroy everything, and Abraham pleaded for the righteous that were amongst that weren't gay.
That was not. That's the key. It wasn't just the righteous people of Sodom. It was the ones who was not gay, who was not into the banging on your house. Let me know him type nigga. But of course they have that in there, so you have to pray for them.
And then Moses, when the Lord was going to kill all of Israel in the wilderness, we start over with Moses. Moses pleaded for those that weren't coming
doing again to go back to Egypt. It's the same. They once again they carnal because they left the truth out, and they left the truth because of something carnal.
Right. Like I can't help while we talking about this. It's just in my head how all of them were on the ground while these women were beating them up.
Because you have mercy on the Sodomites. Have mercy on the Sodom, and the Christian church had mercy on the Sodomites. They are good. They had heel and toe. Mercy on the Sodomites. Where they got beaten up?
Yeah.
Nah, they was somewhere here.
Okay, I didn't see the video, but I don't know what happened. So they would say that's
okay. What they started doing was they started going in front of the church and setting up camp. Oh, okay. Right? Oh, not camp, setting up that gay stage. Right. And which is what they was doing to Israel. They was going where Israel would live, where Israel would hang out and just beat up Israel and say you evil and wicked and this and that. And they went in front of them churches and did it. And them preachers is old school pimps. Them is not, they might appear to be effeminate to you, but that's for the choir. But them niggas is old school pimps. You come in front of them messing with my money, nigga, I'm gonna crack your head open. And that's exactly what the hell happened. Yeah, I mean, and preacher come out there and pull out the Glock and stick it in his head and then pull it back in. And the bitch them beating their head open now. And he's like, look, the brother bleeding his head split open. I'm like, brother, there was no defense. Brother, there was not even a swing back. Nothing. There was nothing. I mean, nothing. And there's people who running to help, and they did nothing. They ain't, ain't nobody weave come out, ain't nobody get smacked, nobody lose their pearls. Right. Nothing. Right. It's ridiculous. Clark, the last one we get back on. I want to say the dudes who ran over in the mix just like them on the ground and falling. Well, listen, man, that's why they pray for the sodomites. They pray for those who banged on the door. You know what I mean? Pagaiboa. So now let's go to verse 7. So now everything here that we're reading up in 1 Peter is to the 12 tribes of Israel. That's all it's to the 12 tribes of Israel who scattered abroad, who scattered in these different cities, scattered in these different zones. All right, this is not to the heathen. This is not to anybody else. All right, I just wanted to make that clear. I know that's not your question. I just wanted to make it clear, but keep going.
Verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perishes, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ.
All right, what does that say? Hold on, it's just verse 7 you want, or 7 to a certain number? Which verses you want?
Verse 7 is where I'm focused at. The part that I really don't get is the ending of the second line.
In 7?
The concept.
Okay, no sweat.
Being much more precious than of gold that perishes.
Mm-hmm.
That's throwing me all the way off.
Okay, so read the first line.
Verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perishes.
Mm-hmm. The trial of your faith. So we'll explain the trial of your faith. Let him get it.
The trial of our faith is us being tested and staying strong in the truth and not falling on our sword.
I'll take that. All right. You're being tested. You fall on your sword. You drop your sword. You put your sword down. Okay. What is the trial? Hold on. What is your faith?
Following the law, statutes, and commandments, believing in Christ and the Most High God.
Okay.
Could you say your works, doing the work?
Doing the work is the same thing. It's just the way you say it. If you're teaching it to somebody who's not in the truth, they're not gonna get it. Right. So when the work you do, right, anybody could get that. Anybody could get work. Like having a slavery, you have to have faith. Because you believe in 2 weeks these niggas gonna pay you. But if I tell you I have a company and come work for me, I'll give you 10,000 in 2 weeks, you're gonna be like, what's the name of the company? Where is it registered? Well, I need your social. Why you need my social? You ain't got no faith. That's not me. But you understand, like people have faith, they just don't understand it when it comes to the Bible. But to work in this society, you're gonna have to have faith, because what happens if in 2 weeks you ain't get your money?
Yeah.
What if HR tell you, well, we had a problem, we had a hack, they hacked the system, right, but you'll get everything in 2 more weeks? Are you leaving the slavery? Why not? But they didn't keep the end of the faith. They didn't keep the end of the promise. Why you don't leave? Because you have more faith. You have faith that if you work, they're going to eventually pay you. But people can't understand the Bible.
Right.
You get the point? So now your faith is your works. The works that you do, and then from you explain the works, you could describe it with keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, high holy days, camp. If you're a sister, tithes first before all of that shit. Tithes is work. Why is it work? Why is tithes work? Because
why is it work?
Mm-hmm.
Like how you mean?
Like why am I using tithes as an example of faith and work? It's go ahead.
I'm not sure.
No sweat, because you paid. That's why you ain't even sweating. Come on.
It's like the tithes is you have the faith in the works of your tithes because you are giving the 10% of your increase, having faith that is coming together to take care of the nation of Israel.
And your increase comes from what?
Comes from
you working. That's your increase comes from you working. And people who struggle to pay tithes, when they do pay it, they feel like they worked. Somebody I gave mouth to mouth for 2 weeks of your life. You get the point? That's your faith. Your faith is the work you do in the Lord. You keeping the commandments. You go into camp. You're a sister. You cooking for the brothers in the school bread and here. Whatever your work is, that's lawful in the Lord and that advances the work of the Lord. That's faith, because Christ ain't back yet, and you working to bring him back. You understand? Your work is to bring him down. You get the point? Your work is to, something like I don't want to say summoning because that sounds a little bit too witchcrafty, but you get my point. It's to, you're making a call to the Most High to send the Calvary because you working. You get the point? Because you working, now the Calvary had to show up. You understand? So that's what the faith would be. That's what the faith would be. All right. Somebody read back for the brother one more time from the top.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 7. And the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, it might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ.
Right, at the appearing of Jesus Christ. You get the point? So that's the end goal here, the end game here. That's what you really want. That's your paycheck, if you're referring it to somebody who's slaving. The end game here is for Christ to return, because when Christ returns, what's he gonna get? The kingdom of heaven. Right. You get the point? You're gonna get rulership. You understand? Guy boy, let me finish your question real quick, all right? No sweat. All right. So you understand the first line, right? All right. So read it again from the top and then proceed to the other one.
1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth.
The trial of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perisheth.
The faith, the trial of my faith, the works that we do is a higher value than gold. That is destroyed, perisheth. That's
what perishes?
Than that of gold that perishes.
So what perishes?
The gold. Our works is a higher value than gold.
Your life in the truth is worth more than gold. That's what I just said before you even asked the question. You understand? Your life in the truth, the life you live, brother, is worth more than gold, which perisheth in fire, because your faith is tried in fire. If you can go through the fire, you are worth more than gold, because gold in the fire is going to do what?
It's going to get rid of all of the...
It's going to melt, It's going to melt. You're not going to have that gold chain or the gold bar or these gold cups anymore. You put it in fire, it's going to perish. It's going to turn into something else. But this is what we're talking about is placing something in the fire and pulling something out that's strong, that hasn't compromised, didn't melt, didn't break, didn't become brittle, didn't become weak. You understand? That's why you say gold tried by fire. Right? Read it one more time. So read it for the brother.
Oh God. Book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ.
Right. So now, because you able to go through the fire, and because you able to survive your test, whatever your test is, and your test never ends. Just so you know, this is not school where you do your finals and then you get let out for holidays and that's done. Like this is, you finish one test out. The minute that first test is ended, another one has started. That's your life in the truth. And if you don't like it, there's the door. You get the point? That's just your life in here. You're going to be tested every single day, every time, at every turn, from everything and everyone and everybody. And you better learn your lessons. That's the best advice I could give you. You better learn your lessons. There's going to be some tests you are going to utterly fail. You are going to utterly fail it, and that's just how it is. There's going to be some that you're just going to pass. You're going to excel. And then there's going to be some that are going to break you. It's going to break you, and you are going to look at the world like it's so delicious now. And what the hell am I doing in here suffering? And you're going to want to go, and you should go. You thought I was going to say fighting? You thought I was going to say stay, right? You thought I was going to say fight, right? No, you got to fight. No, nigga, hurry up. Go get that thing that shines. Go get it. You know what I mean? Go get it. Shit. I guess I'm more lying. You get the fuck out. Go get it. If the world, that's why I said before, whatever you're going through, don't even think that out there is better. It's, it might seem like it for you, but it's absolutely not. It's ridiculous as it sounds, but there's nothing out there for you. You understand? There's nothing out there. So for the brother question, this is comparing having faith in the Lord and continuing in the fire, continuing in it until that test is over and you get some temporary relief, and then there's another test that starts again right after. You understand? There's another test that starts right there, right after. This test you might pass. This test you might fail. This test might break you. It might, take a toll on you. But if it take a toll on you, brother, and you're still alive, what does that mean? What does that mean if you're still alive? It takes a toll on you and you're still alive. No.
More precious than gold.
No. You survive, so
you keep going.
You could keep going. There's one thing before you keep going. You're right, though.
You're stronger than before.
With that one thing we're talking about, that would determine if you're stronger than before. You could keep going and, you're still not stronger than before.
I say that you didn't give up.
No, because there will be no proof that you gave up or not until it's done. You get the point?
Did you learn?
You learn. That's what's going to tell if you've grown or not. Now you learn. Now you learn what not to do or what you should have did. And now you get yourself back together. And then you push forward. But guess what? If you don't learn, what's going to happen next? It may not be that exact test, but you're gonna have some struggle. Right. You're gonna have some shit where you should have learned that before. You understand? You're just gonna have to learn that. This is about learning and getting yourself stronger and more disciplined so that you can continue in the work.
Right.
And you continue working, you learn your lesson, you lick your wounds, and you move the hell on. You don't what? You don't leave the job. What happens if you don't get paid at the end of 2 weeks? Nobody leaves their job. You understand? Nobody ever leaves their job. They continue working and bitch and fret and go max out the credit card and borrow money and skate and go to Pepco and tell Pepco, yeah, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you. Just believe me, I'm going to pay you until the slave pays you. You get the point? You have faith for when it comes to the money. When it comes to the work of the Lord, you can't stand in the fire because you're not even gold. You're going to have to become more than gold. You're going to have to become more precious than gold, more valuable than gold, stronger than gold. And if you are that, you're gonna push through the shit. Right. That's it. You get the point? So that's what it's talking about there. Your faith, even though it goes into the fire, it's better than gold, which perish in that same fire. All right. You're gonna have to be more fine than gold. Give me that in Isaiah, right? More precious than fine gold. Isaiah 13 and 12. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir.
Right? To become more precious than fine gold, brother, you're going to have to be put under pressure. You're going to have to be put in the fire. You're going to have to be put in the fire or in the furnace. That's what Saka War's name mean. In the furnace or out of the furnace. You're going to have to be put in the fire and left in the heat. Right. And let's see what happens. Let's see what you're made of. And that's it. And that's it. And it's, you know, everybody has that opportunity in life. Not everyone is the same. And that's what he's telling you here. Like, you're going to have to keep that faith. And if not, you know, that's it. You know, get it. Not that's it, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, the fire is a test for you. Right. And the pressure is a test. It's to test your faith, to see what do you really believe in? Like, what it is that's driving you? Is it, you know, who the hell knows? You know, everybody has different tests, from ribs to family to husbands, if you're a sister, children, slavery, brothers. It doesn't matter. Your test could come any which way, and what you going to do when it comes. Understand? Cool. That was it? Good to go? Bukwash, what's the other one we have?
We have our Waja. He actually did a breakdown on Joseph sending ships to America to collect gold.
Okay, I've heard that in the Josephus. I've never actually read it, so I'm gonna hold that for either Jeremiah Hyman or the history class. I could ask John Katham. I know he's definitely into the history, but that's not recorded in the Bible from what I remember. But that's in the Antiquities of Josephus, I believe. Most believe, right? How they had voyages and stuff like that. Don't think it's biblical. I don't have the breakdown on that, but I could find out for you for sure. All right. Anything else?
The next one, that one from a Renat Israel said, this is in quotations, then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness. Then she said, so Abraham did pray for them.
No, Renat, you probably chimed in a little bit late. I already broke that down at the top of the class, just not even knowing this question was going to come, but it was based on another question the brother asked, right? This is okay. Let me see how I can break it down again from what did they call Christ? That's a vague question. What was Paul?
A Gentile, according.
What was his nationality? Not okay. What was his citizenship?
Roman.
A Roman.
Right.
Now, does that mean Paul, it was the same as Caesar?
No.
Right? Paul was a Roman. Why?
Because of his citizenship.
Because he was born in Rome. That's what it says. He said, I'm from Rome, not any mean city. Let me see if I could find that for you. Look up mean city. Acts 21 and 39.
Acts chapter 21, verse 39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a citizen of Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people.
You understand? So this is when the Roman centurion was accusing him of being an Egyptian because of his dark skin. Because there was this Egyptian that was going around causing trouble. They thought it was Paul because of who was rolling with Paul. Right. And Paul was like, nah, I'm a Jew from this city, and it's no mean city. What does it mean when he said no mean city? Come on.
You're not talking about a ghetto. What are you talking about? He's talking about a Hamite.
Mm-mm.
Or a place that's violent?
No. Different mean.
Meaning not old.
Not old. Not that's not what it is. Different mean. Mean. Go ahead.
No.
What do you mean?
Like ordinary place.
Yeah. Mean meaning like remember in math in school, find the mean of these numbers, like the average. He's saying I'm not from any average city. He said I'm a Jew, but I ain't from any one of these average cities. I'm a citizen from so and so. So and like he running it down so that he trying to get this centurion to give him respect so he could talk to the people who he want to talk to. So he kind of presenting himself a certain way. You get the point? Now, because Paul from there, does that mean he is one of them? Hell no, because of course the centurion mistaken from an Egyptian, which lets you know he's dark skinned. He's not one of them Romans or one of them Sicilians, right? That's what you say from Cilicia or Cilicians, right? I think this is a Roman city or a Roman place. So you have people who are citizens of a place, but they're not the people of that place. So in that what's the precept Gil asks?
No, that's another question. But she didn't give the
It's in the Apocrypha. I think it might be in 2nd Ezra. Come on.
When he said a city of no mean city, is that kind of like the same way as the brother say, hey, you know where I'm from?
Not like that. In a way, but not like that. Like, yeah, kind of like that. Like, but don't think he said it like that. He's saying like I ain't from no mean city. Like in a way, kind of. You right with it. But he actually named where he was from. You get the point? He actually named where he was from, so the God could dress back a little bit on how he coming at him, so he could get to do what he want to do. You get the point?
Okay. So like if I could, sir, like,
so somebody find the other scripture for me. I think it's 2nd Ezra. You have it? All right, no sweat.
If I could, question was like knowing that the Lord is against homosexuality and all that above. So obviously Abraham ain't praying for that. Could I ask? Could it be saying one or two ways, like how sometimes we say it ain't a prayer, but sometimes we'll be like, all right, Lord be with you, like something like that.
It's not even that, because you have to go back to the history. When the Lord was sending them, the angels, to go kill Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham knew his cousin was there, Lot, because remember they split because they were so rich. They were so rich and had so much land and goats. The servants was fighting over the land, so they decided to move separately. Abraham asked Lot not to go over there. Lot chose to go, and pull that for me, where it says he went to live amongst wicked men. Like it's to pull the scripture to defend that is totally conflating the thing. It's like putting two separate things together, and it's a mixed match. I know what you're trying to say is just no different than a murderer or a drug dealer or a drug addict. And you say, man, well, Lord be with him. That's not what this scripture is saying, though. You get the point? What Abraham was praying for was not the murderer or the drug dealer. He accepted their destruction. He was trying to pull his cousin out, who was not a murderer or a drug dealer. You get the point? It's a totally different thing. Like that nigga was really begging for the faggots act because they are faggots. They're begging for themselves. That's a faggot begging for mercy. That's the demon in them crying out, pray for me, have mercy for me, because all of us in here is Sodomites. They're all Sodom. You get the point? They're the inhabitants of Sodom. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, God, sir. Genesis chapter 13, Verse 12. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
Right? So they were sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Now, did Abraham pray for Sodom then? No. No, if the Lord wanted to come and burn that thing down, Abraham wouldn't have said shit. Right. But Lot was his relative, and he knew Lot was no sinner. Right. It's just because they was living so close together, it was beginning to have conflict. Right. It was beginning to, them is my sheep. No, these are my sheep. And it's not Lot and Abraham fighting, it's the servants beefing amongst each other, which happens. Right. So they decided to kind of go separate ways. But Lot decided to go amongst those people. Keep going.
From the top of verse 12. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it. To thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Verse 16. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
Sorry, sir, if I may.
Go ahead.
Can I read this precept, sir?
Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Genesis chapter 18, verse 23. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?
Say it again.
And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?
Right. That's what Abraham asked. Will you destroy the righteous with the wicked? Not, if some Sodomite could turn. And remember, these Sodomites are they're not Adamites, meaning they're not from Adam's lineage, which is what Abraham and Lot was at this time. Remember, there's no Israel, because Israel comes from what? Isaac, then Jacob. Right. There's no Israel. There is the lineage that comes from Adam, Seth, Noah, Shem, Abraham. Right. You get the point? That's the lineage that you're looking at. Those people who come from those men, related to those men who keep in the Lord's laws. Right. Abraham is praying for Lot because he comes from that line or that group of people. Right. He's not praying for the Sodomites, who is a different nation, right, and sinning against the Lord. He's not praying for the Sodomites. Right. But if you're a Christian, when you read the scripture in Ezra, you'll think he is praying for the Sodomites, right, just like Christians when they read in Acts how the Lord rolled out the sheet and told Peter, eat everything. They think you could eat pork, right, because they're carnal. They don't understand nothing. Right. You get it? They look at Jonathan, my love for thee exceed the love of a woman, and think David and Jonathan were homosexuals. Why? Because they really want to eat pork and they're really faggots. Right. So these purple Sodomites who pull this scripture to say this is not an attack on the LGBTQ means there's got some faggots in that purple group with them fringes on, and they don't want to put them out because they're going to come out and say what really going on in there. Right. So now let's appease these Sodomites. Right. Listen, even Abraham prayed for the Sodomites. No, dummy. You're an idiot. You're stupid. Right. Because you don't understand the Bible. Right. I think that's what I want. From 13, you had to read all the way through because it goes to 19. I think it's Genesis 19 when the angels finally show up. Oh, it's like right here. Go ahead. It's right here. Come on, read on some more. Where you at?
Genesis chapter 18. For the angels actually showed up, sir?
Give me where he that same one he was reading from.
Okay, sir. Genesis chapter 18, verse 23. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Mm-hmm. Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are there, that are therein?
So now, if Abraham is praying for 50 righteous men, right, for the sister who asked the question, is those 50 men Sodomites, like what we know today? Or are they men who lived in the city of Sodom? Remember, at this time, right, they would not be called sodomites like how we call it today. The reason you call it homosexual as sodomites is because of Sodom. You understand? It's because of that city, Sodom. That was the main city. That's why it's Sodom and Gomorrah, because Sodom is the main city. That's why you call that sodomites today. Just like Mongoloid. The term Mongoloid today is a derogatory term for Down syndrome. That word comes from the Mongolian Empire because that's who they were. You get the point? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I would say just how cities become famous for what mostly the gay people are, like
what they're known for.
San Francisco, DC.
Not DC.
Yeah.
No.
What shot the city?
It's a DC nigga talking about DC like that. DC stand up. I defend DC all the goddamn time. Not DC, not yet. No getting there though with them goddamn pussies. Not yet. You understand? But even if that was the case, that would more be in the spirit of the Lord, where because it's Israelites who doing the sin. Right. But the scripture here is not talking about Israelites who were sinning or men of the Lord. Right. This is talking about don't just kill everybody, because there might be a couple men in there who ain't doing this dumb shit. Right. You understand? Remember, the Lord is a gangster. If it's a drive-by, just think a drive-by. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna be like, okay, hit him. No, he good. Don't hit him. You spraying whoever on the block. Right. That's what Sodom and Gomorrah was like. It was a goddamn drive-by. Right. And Abraham know what about to happen. He know how the Lord roll. Everybody dying. Right. So he's saying, man, damn, I can't just tell him, Lot. I had to break him down. I had to go and intercede like a father. Like, well, what if, like a child, children are asking these questions, and you be like, well, where this nigga going? Right. And then it make its way to the toy that they want. Right. That's them coming to you to intercede and break it down. And that's what Abraham was trying to do because of Lot. Right. Not 50 men or 10 men. It was because of Lot. What the hell you talking about? This not attack on the LGBTQ. Nigga, monkeypox is an attack on the LGBTQ. Don't tell me nothing about this is not an attack on the LGBTQ. Right. The Lord is putting them to death. What the hell do you want? Right. But some of y'all in that purple group is faggots. And you all want the world to pray for you. And I pray for you not. I pray for who the Lord has given me. For they are thine and I am yours. And that's who I pray for. I pray not for the world. I pray for who the Lord done brought up in here. That's who I pray for. Nasty Nate. You're going to get up there and talk about if your wife don't want to give it to you, you could rape her. That's who says that? A faggot. That's why they want to pray for the LGBTQ. Salaki. Fix me. Salaki. For the record, DC ain't no gay city. Salaki. Good night. DC is rough and tough as it could goddamn be. Shit. Who? La Salaki. No, brother. Hell no. Oh, you had a separate question? No sweat.
All right. Because I was having a conversation with a brother, and I just need some clarity so I have some better understanding.
Okay, is it on this topic?
No.
Let me just finish this. I'm gonna come to you. All right. Read the scripture in Ezra. All right. So just for anybody who wants to know, you let's go to Genesis 13. What we read in 13 first?
13 and 23, sir.
13 and 23. That's where we started, you sure?
Yep, 23, sir.
No,
it's like 18 and 23.
No, the one you had was at before. So like, where is it? 13 and 12. Right, you go to 13 and 12 through 16. You will see where Lot separated from Abraham and went to Sodom. That's why you say he pitched his tent towards Sodom, meaning he was headed in that direction to live. Right? And it said he went among wicked men. It says the men of Sodom were sinners and wicked. Lot went to live there. It says that earlier on. Then you jump to 18, where the Lord said he gonna burn Sodom down because them niggas is Sodomites. Right. And Abraham, knowing his cousin is over there, don't want him to die. Right. Why didn't he want him to die? Because he was his cousin?
Because he knew he wasn't a fact.
Because he knew he wasn't IUIC.
Right.
He could look at Lot and be like, this nigga, he ain't an IUIC. He could clearly see he's UPK. He's not one of them purple sodomites. I don't want him to die. Lord, please intercede. Right. Kill the rest of them purple sodomites. But, you know, the church doing that too. The church beating your ass. But, you know, that's not what it means. Now, give me the one in Ezra real quick. Where we are?
Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 36.
Mm-hmm.
Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness.
Right? So now when he said Moses, I first prayed for the Sodomite. What another verse?
Yeah, it was.
Salaki. It's 2nd Ezra 7 and what?
And 36.
7 and 36. Right, read it one more time again.
Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness.
Right. So now Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, not the nation of Sodom, because who else came out of Sodom after the angels burnt it? Who else came out?
His daughters.
That was it.
Right.
So which Sodomites we talking about?
Right. Exactly.
His daughters was lesbians? Huh? No. There was little girls. There was, not little girls, but there was young girls. Right. You get the point? It was Lot, his daughters, and his wife. Don't forget, his wife came out and she chose to go back. Right. His wife did come out. That's it. That's who Moses was praying for. For them who was not sinners. Right. You get the point? That's not Moses, Abraham. That's who Abraham was praying for. Remember, the Sodomites, and what nationality was they? It was Hamite. It was a Hamite city. So are you saying it's okay now to pray for the... What? Oh, IUIC, it would make sense now. Right. Because they let Hamites in. You see how the whole thing just ties in? Yeah. They let Hamites in, pray for the Sodomites, they conflate in the whole thing. That place over there is a death trap, brother. Right. It's a death trap. It's, you playing Russian roulette going over there and going on the streets with these goofy ass Negroes are. Like, it's a death trap. It makes sense now. I could see how they link everything together because the Sodomites was Hamites. They have a homosexual anyway, or fully homosexual, and pray for them. Right. That's really what it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just running down the list. Like, they always making the news for something like, the trans thing.
The tranny, the one who shot the transsexual in the face over there in Las Vegas or something. I forget where it was. I think it's Arizona or something like that.
Young girl
Joy go missing. And that one who shot the tranny in the face, they try to say he was not in there, and he is in the purple with Nate with a picture. Nate has his hand around him, smiling, and they're watching Law and Order on a big screen in the back. If you all want to see the picture, I had the picture. I'll post it up for you. But that same faggot went into the went on Backpage and found some white woman who he thought was a woman, but it was a tranny or cross-dresser who was giving massages at a parlor. One of them massages where for a little extra, she gave you a happy ending. He went in there, he got his happy ending, and she gave him the bass voice after. He pulled out the burner and blasted her in the face. Because now he's like, oh my God, I'm a faggot. And he hated himself for being like that. And he had his flyers and the purple shirt because the tranny didn't die and told the cops he was wearing the purple shirt. Here's one of his flyers. That's how they knew to relate it to IUIC. You get the point? Then you have the Joy Morgan one with the African sodomite who done murdered the girl and do whatever to her. And they want to deny that one too. I mean, what else needs to happen over there before you all realize you're all in the church, man? I don't understand what, So, go ahead.
They got him on video twerking to the pound.
And that's your leader. And that's your leader. And now he's talking about you could rape your wife and all kind of shit.
Right. So like my base,
go ahead.
At least the church will fight. Like, good night.
God damn. That's rough. Yes. In the church fight. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope the sister understands. Like when he was saying the Sodomites, he was not talking about, he's talking about like citizen of Sodom, right? Not a homosexual, not a LGBTQ. Right. It's just like you would say somebody might pray for a Roman or pray for the people of Corinthians, right? The letters to Corinthians was not to white people in Corinth. It was to Israelites who lived in Corinth. Right. And it's the same thing. You get the point? You all understand? Parasha them in UK, they ain't white British, crumpets and tea people. They're niggas just living in a different country. It's the same thing, sis. That's what he's talking about when he said he prayed for the Sodomites. Not that he prayed for the LGBTQ. No, that's not them niggas signed the warrant. Y'all go watch that special command John Yahanna did on the LGBTQ. What is a woman? The reaction to that. These sodomites is, doing experiments on your children from 5 months old, for, playing with them, for making them have orgasms at 5 months old, 2 years old, and timing it, and giving your children drugs to alter their hormones. They don't sign the warrant, man. Tell me about pray for them for what? Right. Pray for them for what? And then, you go in front of the church. You don't go into the prison to get people out of the prison. You lock people up and send them in there and lying on brothers. Right. Like Nate, they done lied on them 2 brothers and got them a whole ton of time. And the New York State had to release them and pay them money. Like, you don't do the work of the Lord. Like, you know what he is? Give me, and I'm going to come to you down with this next one. Give me Matthew 23. And 13.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 13.
On that same subject,
Please.
I heard them say after they got them locked up and they got some money, they said, well, that was the Lord did that because now these brothers got some money from
brother. They evil and wicked. They evil and wicked as shit. They are men who don't value the truth. They value gold more than the truth. You understand, Pagai boy? That's who they are. They don't value what they have or what they had. Right. Nate. That's why he went and started something else. Because he didn't value what he had. You understand? He didn't value this thing and he couldn't go through the fire. There was a point in time he was going through fire, just like the GMS leader Tahar or whoever went with House of David and the HOI and all them other groups are. And some of these groups, brother, they were sitting in class, Commander Yahanna taught them face to face, and they couldn't go through fire. They couldn't do it, so they left and started what was comfortable for them with their standards. The brother in California, Faba One, he called me someday and said, these fake Israelites is teaching you could go to the strip club and have a prostitute. You could straight up go and buy one. Why? Because in here you can't. Right. But these Negroes can't have a marriage because their wife ain't somebody else's woman. Like you for Slacker and little brother, he gonna be of age soon anyway, right? your woman could get that outfit that you like and talk how you like and get them high heels. You buy a smoke machine. You ain't got the weed smoke in the room. You gotta buy one of them little smoke machines and make the room foggy like it is the strip club. I ain't the old man no more, but I do have memories. Go pee in the corner, let it smell like piss if you want to. And let her give you a show in the room. But you can't do that because this woman is now yours. Because tomorrow, you had to feed her. Right. You had to pay her bills and control her. They don't like you with control. You had to guide her. So what? Salaki in the camera. I didn't grow with the honey, brother. Salaki. I didn't grow with the honey. I had to drink that shit straight, brother. You need some control, Salaki. Right? You got to guide her and you got to be responsible tomorrow morning. Right. But during pleasure, if they could have it without responsibilities, they'll have it. The same spirit that's in them that buys whores and then goes to some scripture that justifies the whore buying, it's the same spirit that's in the whores who murder babies for abortion. Right. They'll enjoy the pleasure, but they don't want the responsibility that comes after it. You understand? Right. You could make your rib or not make her, but you could, if she wants to please you anyway. That's why sisters is in the strip club, because niggas like hoes. Right. If niggas stop liking hoes, they ain't gonna be in there. They're gonna be what niggas like. So you could get her to do whatever you want, whatever pleases you, that's lawful. And if that's what you want, if you want that little tease, brother, man, send her them little skimpy shit on her slavery, a little picture. You listen, I could see that tail in this thing here. Send. And by the end, you're gonna call 2 hours before she usually get off the slave. Yeah, what's going on? Oh, nah, I had to leave because you could make her into that, But you don't want that because you want to go in the strip club with some other faggots and pay for a woman who belongs to another man and do things with her because that's what makes you feel good. But Commander Yahanna wouldn't allow that in here, so you have to leave. You have to leave and still feel good. So you take the Bible and your fringes and your shalom and you go start some old vagabond group that goes to the strip club. A few years ago, that GMS, they got in a full-out shootout somewhere on the West Coast from some niggas in the strip club. Full-out shootout running. And I ain't going to the more. Go ahead.
The watching people, certain brothers, even when they born in the street, they proud about, okay, I never ate pork. I never did this. One thing I brag about since I came in at 19, I have never been to a strip club ever.
Listen, I commend you. I regret ever going to one. I'm like, bright lights. I listen. Listen. Some things is good that you never experienced, that you never got to enjoy. It's good. That's a good thing. But that's the root of these type of groups. Give me Matthew 23 real quick.
And 13.
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men.
That's what they do. They shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. They know the truth. Not all of them. That nigga Nate, he knows exactly what's the truth and what's not.
Right.
And he decided to teach what's not the truth.
Right.
You understand? Everything about what he built is not the truth. Right. And he decided to teach it. So now he knows the truth, but he shuts up the kingdom of heaven against men. Meaning what? He's not teaching the truth. So whoever follows him is not learning about the kingdom of heaven, is not in the faith.
Right.
They don't have the faith, the actual works of the Lord. Right. Keep going.
Come. For ye neither go in yourself.
You neither go in yourself. That's nigga Nate. Nasty nigga Nate, boy. Right. Old twerking, rape your wife Nate. Old let a Hamite in, let a Sodomite in your damn school. Right. The brother Shamgar, he live in London. Shamgar told me the whole London camp is Nigerians except for one Israelite. That's who really started the whole thing over there. All of them up in there is Ham. He say London is just, it doesn't make sense. He said the other city, you have Israelites there, but London is only Ham up in there. You shut the kingdom of heaven up, but you know what's the truth though. Right. You know where you came from, Nate. You know what's the truth. You shut the kingdom of heaven up for men, right, for brothers and sisters who should learn from you and should learn the ways of the Lord and who our king is and who, what we should follow. But you shut it off. You cut it off knowing what you know. Right. Go ahead.
For ye neither go in yourself.
You don't go in yourself. That's why you left the truth. You don't want to go through the fire no more.
Right.
To serve the Lord, you're going to have to go through fire. You're going to have to go through it, and that's just part of it. Right. Like this life is not for a baby. It's not that type of life. It's, that's why the scripture said, when I was a child, I lived as a child, I spoke as a child. But now I'm a man, I put away childish things. You cannot be a child and serve the Lord. Now, you could have a childish way, and you're going to learn your lesson. How? You get smacked. Then you learn your lesson, and you dust yourself off, and you move forward. But you could get smacked, and then you don't learn your lesson, and you go over here, and you start the purple faggots of the Sodomite kingdom. Right. And you call it IUIC. Because you don't want to learn your lesson. You still want to do childish things. That's why you get up and you twerk on the damn TV and make jokes about raping your wife. You get the point? You don't teach men about the kingdom, neither do you go in yourself. Go ahead.
Oh God. Neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
Neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. There's some people who really want to serve the Lord. Right. Just like there's some brothers who in Islam who really wanted to serve the Lord. Right. There's some brothers in the Christian church who really wanted to serve the Lord. There's sisters in the strip club who really want to serve the Lord, who done had abortions. There's drug dealers who want a way out. Right. There's drug addicts. There's somebody who really wants to serve the Lord, and they're in there. They want to, they're really sincere about it, but you not telling them, go find a UPK. I really can't teach you. Instead, you tell them, come in, and you say, we'll tell you about them later. And then you take all their money, and take whatever you have. Some of them brothers, you don't take their wife from them because you tell them they're not legally married according to Esau. So now the woman has to leave you. And some of you dumb broads, you leave the brother at that point. You don't turn around and be like, what? You leave the brother and you up in there with some little purple faggot right now, catching AIDS or whatever gonorrhea they're passing around. You don't suffer men to go in, neither you teach men to go in. You, the Sadducees and Pharisees, you, the Christian cult, you, the thing that comes up against Christ over and over and over. That's why you can't break the scriptures down, and you lie about the scripture just for your own vain glory. That's all Nate really wants. He wants everybody to worship him. That's why the picture they have of Christ, the black depiction of Christ, is really his face. You ever see that depiction with the white hair and the crown? And the chest showing, that's Nate. It's his face they use. He wants to be known as the great, Nathaniel who created the whatever worldwide is whatever united in Christ, whatever, and goes and gives it to the Hamites and here, there, and everywhere. Meanwhile, there's niggas on the block, there's niggas in jail, there's sisters everywhere here. You go up to Buffalo and tell them, because they sinned against the Lord, that's why they deserve to get shot. That devil came to kill sinners. You don't tell that to the Africans for Ebola. You don't go down there and tell them that. Right. You don't do none of that. Listen, man, you purple sodomites. Listen, very rarely I entertain, foolishness. But I would love for one of y'all to come to one of my camps so I could squash you before the Lord. Right. So I could just destroy that purple shit before the Lord and wipe it off the face of the earth. Nate, send your best faggot. Send your best one. I don't care. Send your best one. I'll send them back, hurt. Right. You get the point? And I ain't no pause. This is not what we're talking about. Right. But send one of them. Send them down there. Because you're full of nonsense, man, and you're silly. You're an old silly man. Right. That's really what you are. You're an old silly man who playing with people's lives. You want more people to die on your watch. You done lost a woman already in UK. You almost got another nigga killed just the other day, and that's what we know about. We only know about Joy Morgan because BBC picked it up. Right. You know how much people die in UK and they don't talk about it? That's the only reason we know about her. The only reason we know about this church is because the video went viral. Right. Think about all the other shit we never hear about because the news ain't picking it up. You're a silly man. You're a silly old man. Right. That you made a horrible mistake in your past and you don't want to face it. Right. That you were weak in fire. Right. So you want everybody else to go down with you. So now we got to pray for the Sodomites. Damn that, man. Let the Lord ravage them Sodomites with AIDS. Right. You know what I mean? So look, go ahead.
Like when Chris Rock got smacked, all the comedians were saying, I dare y'all go up here and try me. I ain't Chris Rock.
Right.
Now when we start on camp, we got some new Long West, and after that,
that's why we say it.
Don't come up here.
Exactly. That's why we say we're not affiliated, because these fools are, they're really effing up the work. You know what I mean? Let me get your question now.
All right. What's the difference between Europeans and Caucasians?
Europeans are a catch-all phrase like Africans. So in Africa, you have different countries, right? You have Ghana, Congo, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and even amongst them, you have different tribes. European is a catch-all phrase for everything that side of the whatever we call that, Greenwich Meridian, the Prime Meridian, everything on that side, or the northeastern side of it, excluding Africa. So it's a catch-all phrase for Spain, UK, Ireland, France, Germany, Russia, European. You get the point for that region, right? Caucasian would be those who come from the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. You understand? So it's like it's you could use it interchangeably, but it's Caucasian, a more specific thing you're talking about. The Caucasian, because you comes from the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. But when you say European, the connotation of it is everything on that side, even though they all come from that area in mass. Not every single one of them, but in mass. You understand what I'm saying?
So would that exclude like Italians, or Sicilians or Anglo-Saxons.
Okay, even those the Italians would be a European or a member of the Caucasian race. Who else I said? Sicilians, the Italians too. Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons is more like a sect of people. They're not a country. They like how you have Shiite and Sunni Muslims. The Anglo-Saxons, you could say there's something like that. I think Anglo-Saxon is what? The angelic sons of Isaac or something. That's what it translates to, like Latin or some other language. Sons of Jacob or some shit like that. Right? That's what it's supposed to mean, but they're not. They're not the sons of Jacob. So even that is not. I've rarely ever heard anybody describe themselves as Anglo-Saxon. Very rarely. So the Anglo-Saxon, it's a white term. It's a term that's used to describe a European or Caucasian group of people, but they're a group that's they're separate. They're separate from everybody else in terms of they're not a country. It's like a separate sect almost. You understand?
Pretty much not geographically based.
Yeah, they don't have. They might say they're from either Russia or that northern side there where like them Vikings where they would come from. They might say they're from there. You understand? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. No, where them Vikings descend from is not. Come on.
Iceland, Greenland.
Well, Iceland and Greenland is after. They're really from that Scandinavian part that's like northeast Europe. Iceland and Greenland is after they started traveling, but they're really from that northern part of the east of Europe. All them Russians and Swedish people and Switzerland, they're really Viking. There's Viking people that come south and just ran everybody out and started taking over. It's really them. All right, you get me? You good to go? No sweat. No sweat. You to warm. I think Mathia is on his way. If you wanted to wait, you could get a ride back with him. You had a roll too? Ain't no sweat. It's up to you. All right. Any more? Any more questions?
There is another question.
Okay, no sweat.
This question from YouTube person, Truth Seeker.
You could swap out. I know you had a roll. All right. Let me get a little bit of the topic, and then I'm gonna come back to the question. Okay, go ahead.
Question online from Truth Seeker. Explain Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22 through 29, that says tithes is food and to help the poor, orphans, and widows, not a church or a camp.
I'm saving that one, sir.
First off, Truth Seeker, tithes will never be to help you. All right, you should go to IUIC. You understand? Because they obviously they do not believe in tithes. Right? That's where you should go because you one of them. Let me try different approach. You know what I mean? You to what? You have some that. You have some. Okay, so only because it's on my topic, right? I really don't like how he asked the question any goddamn way. Right? It's raining? Heavy? Damn, this shit is silent, man. He ain't shitting in. All right. Only because it's part of my topic. So in other words, let me ask him, Truth Seeker, if tithes is food and corn and not to help, do you agree with Creflo when Creflo said you don't have to pay no tithes? Because Creflo recently said you don't have to pay him no money, no 10%. You could just, give freely, give alms and donations. Do you agree with Creflo, Truth Seeker? I want to know the truth. I'm seeking the truth from you, Truth Seeker. All right. Okay, that's whenever he comes back, just let me know, all right? Okay, so we're gonna jump to July 4th, and if they have sacrifices, I don't know. You all know they recently shot that brother Jalen Walker, right? I believe they say over 60 shots hit him, right? 60 bullets hit him, destroy the brother's face, destroy his body. And the average cup uses a 9mm or 40. 40 is a bigger caliber, it'll tear you up good. And 60 shots in about a minute. I mean, this, it's possible that brother might even have a closed casket type shit. Because I know they say he got hit in his head a whole lot. Right? And then days later, you have this other fool, Crimeo, Bobby Crimeo or Crimeo, right? Who went up to Highland Park, right? Which is a super rich area in Chicago. Very, very rich. Hollywood made a ton of movies over there. Ferris Bueller's Day Off and a ton of 80s and 90s movies. They were, they did shooting over there. And he went up there where this is like, old white money, old law enforcement. And he went up there and he shut up the crowd on July 4th, right? On, the Independence Day exactly. He killed, what, 6 people? 6 people. And shot how much more? 12 or 13? 12 or 13 that we know of so far, right? And the police arrested him like the next day, and there was no harm done to him. They didn't shoot him, didn't beat him up. They put him on the ground and arrested him. So now I want to know, is there some sort of, within these people on their holidays that could well be where amongst these, Europeans or these Caucasians or these Anglo-Saxons, whichever one you want to call them, if there's something in them that they have to do some sort of mass executing of a brother or sister around their Independence Day. Because Philando Castile was also shot like that around Independence Day a couple of years ago. I think it was July 6th. Then you had Alton Sterling. Look up Alton Sterling, right? I don't know if anybody remember who Alton Sterling is? Right? Alton Sterling was executed the same way. Right? Go ahead.
So, Salaki, if I could, it was 6 mass shootings on July 4th this year.
6? Damn.
There's 2 in Chicago.
Okay. Is this shootouts with niggas we talking about? Or this is one lone shooter?
Lone shooter.
Okay, what's the 6?
I think there's one in Philadelphia too. I believe I heard about Philly.
I think a cop got shot in Philly.
And then
Go ahead. Go ahead.
On Illinois, Massachusetts, California, Missouri.
Okay, you gotta tell me what it is, because they also starting to pool, Black and Hispanic, normal gang shit with this mass shooting. They started doing that after the New York shooting. You understand? They started saying mass shootings and this and that. I ain't want to hear about the shooting of the basketball court, and it's not hypocrisy. It's absolutely not hypocrisy that we're talking about. A nigga ain't shooting up the basketball court because he, got turned down from a date, or he thinks that white people is replacing him, or he's racist. That's not why a brother shoots up the basketball court or the barbecue. He has a legitimate beef, and that's how he wants to solve it. What your people are doing is something totally different. It's highly political, and that's why they say these guys are mentally unstable. So they can't class them as terrorists, because this is a terroristic act. It's force driven by a political agenda. That's the definition of terrorism.
Right. So like ain't no manifesto. You know what I mean?
Ain't no manifesto for the basketball court or the barbecue. Ain't no manifesto for a drive-by at some playground. But you sit there and you write a manifesto. You get the point? So who we have?
Alton Sterling, sir.
Somebody look up Jerry Dwight Brown. That was July 1st, 2014. Of course, you remember Sandra Bland. That was July 13th, but it was a little way off, a little way past the independence. Jerry Dwight Brown. That was in 2014. Jonathan Sanders, July 8, 2015. Then you have Alton Sterling, July 5th, 2016. Right? And these were excessive, police killings. All right. Yeah, Jonathan Sanders as well, July 8th. All right, what do you have for me? Who holding what? Also, Derek Williams, July 6th.
I have Jerry Brown.
Yeah, the Jerry Brown?
Yeah.
Let me hear it. Jerry Dwight Brown? All right, let me hear it.
It says, after 2 Pasco detectives shot and killed a man in an undercover drug bust Tuesday, they searched him and found he wasn't armed.
Mm-hmm.
But Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nocco said in a news conference Wednesday that the detectives didn't know that when they moved in to arrest Jerry Dwight Brown outside Big Ben's used tires at 4128 Gall Boulevard. They ordered him to show his hands, Nocco said. But Brown moved in a way that made them fear for their lives. When they said
he was by himself, right? They moved on him, and he had detectives with backup. They got guns. They had to jump on him, but he moved his hands in a way where they feared for their lives. Go ahead.
When they said, show me your hands, the suspect should have showed us his hands, he said. He did it. Nocco wouldn't go into detail about how Brown moved, but he said any failure to comply indicates a threat.
Mm.
Brown, 41 of Lakeland, was the subject of months-long investigation. Months-long.
Mm-hmm.
Months-long investigation into dealing prescription pills.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was doing with an undercover detective Tuesday, Nocco said.
So now, why is arrest on Tuesday?
Right.
Right? Well, of course, July 1st, they execute the brother, all right? Give me another one. Who else he holding?
I got Alton Sterling.
Give me Alton Sterling.
On July 5th, 2016, Alton Sterling, a 37-year-old black man, was shot and killed by 2 Baton Rouge Police Department officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
The officers who were attempting to control Sterling's arms shot Sterling while Sterling allegedly reached for the loaded handgun in his pants pocket. Police were responding to a report that Sterling was selling CDs and that he had used a gun to threaten a man outside a convenience store. The owner of the store where the shooting occurred said that Sterling was not the one causing trouble during the situation that led to the police being called.
Mm-hmm.
The shooting was recorded by multiple bystanders.
Right, and of course the store they got the shooting. That's the one where they shot the brother under the car,
yep.
And he died right there. And I think Louisiana doesn't have any law. I think Louisiana is a constitutional carry. I think he is allowed to have a weapon.
Yep.
You understand? So it's not like he was doing anything illegal, but they killed him. Right? Give me a couple other ones. Yeah, Philando Castile. You're familiar with Philando Castile. That was when? 2016 or 17?
Yeah, 17.
16 or 17, I believe, Philando Castile. Give me Derek Williams. Derek Williams, July 6, 2011.
On July 6, 2016, Philando Castile, a 32-year-old African-American man, was fatally shot during a traffic stop by police officer Geronimo Yanis of the St. Anthony Police Department in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area. Castile was driving with his girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, and her 4-year-old daughter when at 9 p.m. he was pulled over by Yanis and another officer in Falcon Heights, a suburb of St. Paul, Minnesota. After being asked for his license and registration, Castile told Officer Yanis that he had a firearm. Castile was licensed to carry, to which Yanis replied, "Don't reach for it then." Castile responded, I was reaching for, to which Yanis replied, "Don't pull it out." Castile then replied, "I'm not pulling it out." And Reynolds said, "He's not." Yanis again repeated, "Don't pull it out." Yanis then proceeded to fire 7 close-range shots at Castile, hitting him 5 times. Castile died of his wounds at 9:37 p.m. at Hennepin County Medical Center, about 20 minutes after being shot.
Right. So he got 7 shots. That was a July 6th. Right. What's the other one I just asked for in 2011?
You said Derek Willis?
Hold on. Let me look for the name. Williams, I believe.
Car.
You have it?
Car, sir.
Derek Williams, July 6, 2011, a squad car?
Car.
Yeah, please.
Milwaukee. Before he died, Derek Williams pleaded with police officers for help. For about 10 minutes, Mr. Williams, shirtless and handcuffed on suspicion of robbery, claimed he could not breathe and then collapsed in the back of the seat of a police cruiser. Finally, the officers began to give CPR. By then, it was too late. In September, more than a year after his death at 22 on July 6, 2011, the public heard his calls for help. After months of public records requests, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel obtained the squad car surveillance video of Mr. Williams' final moments and posted it on its website. The same week, the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner revised the manner of death from natural to homicide, suggesting that the fight with the police could have been a contributing factor. The move prompted J.T. Chisholm, the district attorney, to request that a special prosecutor lead a public inquest re-examining the case. On October 10th, the Federal Bureau of Investigation announced a separate investigation of Mr. Williams' death, and the Justice Department said that it was considering a broader inquiry into Milwaukee Police Department practices.
Right. So now they of course, they're going to talk about, they're going to investigate the thing and their practices and what contributed. But it always strikes me like somewhere around the same, 4th of July time, there's always an excessive death that happens, like absolutely excessive. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing really when we look at it. And, who knows if these cops within their little precincts are having pools, these betting pools about who could kill this and who could beat this crime. They do that. That's why they be so gun-ho to pull the guns out, right? They already had cases of them in Los Angeles with the death squad, right? Some reporter brought it out how the LA in the LAPD and the is Orange County is out there. I think it's Orange County, how they have this flying death squad in the police force. Come on, Yahanna did a tape about it too. You could check it out on his channel. How they have this death squad in there, and they are known, and they have these different tattoos they take and quotas they make, and like a damn near is like a gang. And they have a code, what type of cop could be in there, where you have to come from, where you live. No woman is allowed. I think they have a whole rundown of it. But when you look at what's going on, like everything is forcing us to be extremely separate from these people at this point. Right. Like you're gonna have to really separate yourself if you're going to survive, because these people, the racism is entrenched within them. It's sewn into the fabric of their spirit, right. And you're not ever gonna get away from it. Look up for me, Kazak, that Time magazine article. You can't tell the story of 1776 without talking about race. Right? And you all know 1776, of course, what is the famous year of independence, right? They finally get their independence from Britain, and they have their own, and they're going to write up their constitution, and they're their own country, right? But let's see what was a driving force with the independence of America, with the 4th of July, right? It's a Time magazine article, right? Just read the headline for it.
Oh, God. You can't tell the story of 1776 without talking
Barack,
about...
see if you could find that picture. There's a picture that goes with this article. Yeah, see if you find that picture and you could put it up on the screen too, all right? Go ahead.
Oh, God. You can't tell the story of 1776 without talking about race and slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery and arguments about race were not only at the heart of the American founding, it was what united the states in the first place.
So that opening line is supposed to let you know something.
Right.
Like tyranny without taxation without representation is tyranny, is what they teach you in school.
Right, exactly.
But the driving motivation behind founding America was race.
Right.
It was absolute racism, and it had to do with the possession of them slaves. Right. All right, go ahead.
We have been reluctant to admit just how thoroughly the founding fathers thought about it, talked about, and wrote about race at the moment of American independence.
Go ahead.
Part of the reason why we haven't fully realized this is because of John Adams. More than 40 years after 1776, An 83-year-old John Adams wanted Americans to know just how astounding it was that America declared independence.
Right. So John Adams, right? Anybody know who John Adams is? Right. John Adams, bring it out for me.
So John Adams was out of the founding fathers. He was the chief founding father for the whole Declaration of Independence document and the whole movement for them just to separate as a nation.
Yeah, from how they tell the history, John Adams was the real, if you want to say the real founding father.
Right.
He was the one that did all the groundwork.
Right.
He was the one that went and convinced Washington to I think Washington was in charge of the army or something at that time with General Washington, and he convinced him to lock up with them and promised him presidency because of it. He was the one that went to different countries, to Dutch and the French, to get funding to come up against America, and they was reluctant to lend him any kind of goddamn money because Britain was in charge at the time. He was the one who went around to each one of those leaders in the 13 colonies. Right, at that time, them 13 colonies were very separate. They wasn't together. That "Don't Tread on Me" sign that you see them Virginia plates be having with them the snake in pieces. That was the first United States of America. But before that, they were all separate and damn near sovereign. Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, old Roger said that John Adams was the second president.
Was he the second president? He was the second president, but he was the one who did all the work for the first thing to happen, and the whole thing. They don't really give him the credit that he deserved. Right. When we check out all the work he did, he was the one going here and everywhere and politicking and negotiating for them to come together. Because these devils never wanted to come together. They wanted to stay separate, much like how Texas is, Virginia to a point, Massachusetts, that Seattle, Washington, they have a certain amount of sovereignty too. Much like how these places are always damn near like they serve the Commonwealth, how they call them, the Commonwealth, and they have certain laws in those places that this is just how we do things around here. Right. That's how they was before, and he was the one had to go to them and get them to compromise, being totally independent and run for themselves, and trying to come together and giving up some of their power, giving up some of their not power, but their ability to be to decide things for themselves. Right. They didn't want to do it. And what he used to do it to persuade them was hatred of blacks and Hispanics. Like they tell the story as if it was, we need to get away from Britain. That's not it. Like some university professor did this and the Time magazine published it. Right. So now keep reading. This is the lie that they tell. Right? Go ahead.
Getting all 13 colonies to reach this same momentous decision, Adams, remember, was certainly a very difficult enterprise, and perhaps a singular example in the history of mankind.
That part is definitely true. Getting them to come together was ridiculous. Right. I think he got sick. There was some plague at the time. I think he lost his daughter or his wife. I think it was his daughter. He and all was sick too. Right. He did a whole lot of moving for them to even come together. And he didn't even take the first one for himself. Right? Go ahead.
Oh, God. Colonists really didn't know or particularly like one another. They fought with each other all the time. But something phenomenal happened in 1776. 13 clocks were made to strike together, a perfection of mechanism which no artist had ever before affected.
Right, so that's the lie. That's the pretty talk they say. Right. 13 clocks was, strike together at the same time, like 13 bells going off at the same time. Right. Like they're trying to say these 13 colonies came together in harmony, and it was so like nobody else ever did to try to make it look pretty. Right. But that's far from the truth. Right. Skip me down to where. Hold on. Start. Camera. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I got one that says he created an attractive, exceptional origin.
Yeah, start there. This magical way. Start from this magical way. It's right above it.
This magical way of thinking is compelling. It created an attractive, exceptional origin story for the United States, but it covered up the work that Adams and his colleagues undertook at the time. That work was about publicizing stories, to make Americans afraid of British-sponsored slave insurrections and native massacres. He was hiding just how important race was to the founding.
You understand? Read that part again.
Oh, God. This magical way of thinking is compelling. It created an attractive, exceptional origin story for the United States.
Right? That's the story they tell. He just went and he convinced them to come together, and it was for the good of America and blah, 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 blah. Right? Go ahead.
But it covered up the work that Adams and his colleagues undertook at the time.
Right? But this was to overshadow the work they was really doing. And the work they was really doing was to create fear among the colonists that, listen, these niggas you all have here and these native people that running around, if Britain want to win, they just going to give them guns and they will fight us and we're going to lose. That's what he was driving into them to make them come together. Much like what?
Right now, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Okay.
They're taking our jobs. Mexicans is rapists. We losing our, and they all come together. Yeah. They all come together under one banner because we need to do something about y'all. You get the point? Go ahead.
That work was about publicizing stories to make Americans afraid of British-sponsored slave insurrections and native massacres. He was hiding just how important race was to the founding.
Right? Race was a very, very important part of the founding of America, meaning they coming together and united. Right. Skip me down to not the next paragraph. Hold on. Give me the Patriots' efforts.
The Patriots' efforts to get stories about instigated insurrections into the mouths of American children culminated in the Declaration of Independence. In fact, it comes at the climax of the document. The Continental Congress accused King George of 27 crimes. These were the facts to be submitted to a candid world.
So now they're deciding what's going to be written in history that comes forward. You understand? Like this, that's why they say these are the facts that's going to be presented to the written world. They know, okay, we doing this, but we writing down this is how it happened.
It's like I was thinking how heavy it was, how America this is spiritual Egypt. And basically he did the same thing also in Exodus.
Bring it out. Meaning what?
Exodus chapter 1, verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also onto our enemies and fight against us.
Give him a hand. That's straight out of Egypt. That's what they did in Egypt. That's what Pharaoh said. Listen, we have to deal wisely with these fools here, because if they join our enemies, we'll lose Egypt. And it's the same thing John Adams did with his crew. He had a whole crew he rolling with, because he's trying to convince these colonists to come together. And the only way, now he wants them to come together to form America. But the only way, this is not saying he's definitely a racist, just like somebody can't say Trump, but he using the race. He understands who he's talking to. He understands who he's talking to. So it's like, okay, I need to get them to come against Britain. Britain is rough and tough right now, strong, the world power. Who wants to come up against the world power? Nobody. But if I could show them that this world power, along with these slaves here, is a local threat, everybody gonna come together. So he start pushing, we need to make sure these niggas stay in line. Listen, they're gonna rise up. They're gonna come against us, and Britain gonna fund them. They're gonna rape your daughters. You tell a white man that, it's a rap arc. It's a rap. White woman tears, brother, it's a rap. You get the point? Come on.
It's like they did it again when Woodrow Wilson was president, when they showed the film Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation. It galvanizes something in the oppressor that you cannot, there's no other way to bring them together with that momentum or that feeling. You're gonna have to do you're gonna have to play the race card. Right. But meanwhile, they charge us. You just playing the race card. You play the race card is the only card that matters. Yep. Everything else doesn't. Right. You get the point? What else we have? You could keep reading, yeah.
The very last one was about enslaved and native peoples.
Okay, read that last line where it says, in fact, from there.
In fact, it comes at the climax of the document. The Continental Congress accused King George of 27 crimes. These were the facts to be submitted to a candid world that led the colonies to the necessity of declaring independence. The very last one was about enslaved and native peoples potentially joining the king to destroy American liberty.
To destroy American liberty. That's what they want to do. They really just want to destroy our liberty. The slaves don't want to be free, though. Just like they want freedom from Britain. Right. The slaves don't want to be free. They just want to, destroy our liberty. Once again, it's a rhetoric that's always played back over and over. And despite whatever they teach in school, somehow by the time these devils come to adults, they understand that. That's indoctrinated into them, and then they take actions like what we see in here. Right. All right, keep going from Jefferson.
Jefferson had written a moving passage that referred to the African slave trade as an assemblage of horrors and a cruel war against human nature itself.
Right.
Tragically, the Congress cut nearly the whole thing, but not all of it.
Right. So he wrote something that's was saying slavery was wrong down there. Congress saying we can't have our people feeling guilty when war is on. They'll turn on us. We need to inspire hatred. Right. We don't need to inspire sympathy for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We need to inspire fear and hatred. Right. That's what we need to inspire. Go ahead.
Oh God. They kept the bit that was in the mouth of every American child, referring to slaves with the albeit veiled with common 18th century way of referring to slaves as domestics.
Right, that's the only part they kept in what he wrote. Right, go ahead.
The final grievance,
and of course, domestic is like a good political word for help, for the help or the slave. Right, go ahead.
The final grievance against King George, the ultimate deal breaker, reads: he has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
Now, I don't know if you all get that. Read it one more time. Okay. The final grievance.
The final grievance against King George, the ultimate deal breaker, reads: he has excited domestic insurrections amongst us.
After they kept in the domestic spot for the description of the slaves, he said, King George, he has excited domestic, insurrections amongst us, meaning from these same slaves. Right, go ahead. And of course, with the language, it's easier to develop that hatred for people, because now this was a time also where you would have had movements against slavery. You understand, that late 1700s, you would have movements against it. So that language is not so you could charge them for coming up against the slave, but this is a matter of national security. Right. This is about defending the homeland. This is not about slavery. Right. That's why they always say the Civil War, the War for Independence had nothing to do with slaves, when it had everything to do with slaves. Okay. Right? Go ahead. Okay.
He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
You see, listen. So now he said, not only do they have the slaves, the domestics, but also the Native Indians, who is savages. And their rule of warfare is to destroy everything, all ages, no matter the condition. He's talking about himself. Right. That's in the Bible. A nation of fierce countenance who doesn't regard the old or the young. Right. But he said this is how the Native Indians are, in order to do what? Instill fear in the 13 colonies so they could come together to resist Britain. That's your 4th of July. You know? Your 4th of July was based in hating Black, Hispanic, and Native people.
Right.
Just like January 6th, storming the Capitol. It had everything to do with that. It had nothing to do with anything else.
Right.
Because these Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we losing our country, replacement theory, all of that, critical race theory. It's really the hatred of us, but they'll mask it with other stuff.
Right.
Go ahead,
Like
please.
I said, and the proof of that is you go talk to all those Black police officers that were there, and these are the same devils that rally behind Donald Trump under the guise of law and order.
Yep.
And support the police and the blue line. And then when them devils got to the Capitol, the Black police officers were all type of niggers and monkeys, and you assaulted police officers. So like you just said, you really showing what this is all about. It has nothing to do with you can give a damn about the police, about the government.
Nah.
It's about keeping your foot on niggas' necks.
That's all it is. And don't forget they killed 3 cops. One physically and the other 2 was fallout who committed suicide. So this ain't they don't give a damn about police.
Right.
Keep reading now.
After leveling that charge, the declaration pivoted to say what American independence would look like.
Right. So now after he done bring that whole charge, now he was able to pivot off that point. Like it's like momentum.
Right.
It's like you push everybody to one side of the boat and the boat's about to tip. And as it going to tip, you just come, oh, this is how we save everything.
Right.
And that's what they did, and that's what they continuously do. Right, go ahead.
Because patriots had rejected these efforts to recruit enslaved and native fighters, Americans were now to act as free and independent states and do all other acts and things which independent states may.
Hold on, read that part again. Because patriots.
Because patriots had rejected these efforts to recruit enslaved and native fighters, Americans were now to act as free and independent states and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. This talk that was intended to generate racial fear was a key factor in the march towards independence.
Now, what is so heavy about what we just read there with what happens today? That's cold. Read it one more time, man.
Okay. Because patriots had rejected these efforts to recruit enslaved and native fighters, Americans were now to act as free and independent states and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. This talk that was intended to generate racial fear was a key factor in the march towards independence.
So we're saying they seen that they would have to fight or go to war without slaves because now, okay, I don't have no damn slaves. I gotta fight.
No, they still had the slaves, but they reject the whole idea of putting a slave to fight with them. So for the independence, they didn't even want a slave or a Native Indian fighting because of the fear of they're gonna turn.
Yeah.
You get the point? So for every Black Hispanic who ever served in the military, saluting the flag, when they was forcing the country together, they didn't want you there. They didn't want you nowhere close. They hated you, and they would have killed you first for the fear of you coming up against them. For the fear of it, just the fear that, I don't know, is he going to turn coat? Is he a turncoat? That's where the whole turncoat comes from. Right. That turncoat comes from you changing your uniform. You're a turncoat, you're going to put on the British clothes. Right. For fear of that, we might just kill you now. We might just, so I'm watching all these murders that are happening, brother, that's just so excessive. That's just so ridiculous. Meanwhile, your own is doing horrible crimes, way worse, and you taking them into custody. Right. I'm wondering what part of their sick psyche is this. Slacky, come on.
Yeah, because like it's not even, not saying that this is not a UPK breakdown of like, okay, well, these devils is doing stuff in July, but as you observing and looking like,
yeah, it's just what the hell is going on where it's so just around this time. Yeah. It seems like it's just like, brother, 60 shots arc. Even if a nigga shoot back once, 60 shots. And that 60 that hit
Right.
is like 98 in all in all. That's absolutely crazy, brother. That's a crazy thing. But even if it's not some coordinated thing with cops from different precincts or whatever, it's in the fabric of them to hate us because they had their independence without us.
Right.
We were never part of their independence. It was never. In fact, the hatred of us is what gave them their independence. You get me? Go ahead.
It's like about me. I believe it was the 4th of July, the day after. There was a devil in Kentucky. He killed 3 police officers. When they came to serve him a warrant because he was beating on his wife. And they said his house on a hill, and there was a long drive. I'm reading. He was like, he had the tactical advantage. And like they describe it not as how you describe if a brother were to do it. It's like he was like just he had a
almost admiration.
Yeah, like he had a tactical advantage,
brother.
And I'm reading it. I'm like, and they took him into custody.
They took him into custody, and he done killed 3 cops. They don't even know if this Jalen Walker had a gun out. They're saying he did, but I don't think they find no gun just yet. There was no gun on him. They already.
They said they did. No gun was on the scene at all,
brother. And the way they chased after him, I watched the tape.
Right.
I mean, of course he's gonna run.
Right.
What you want? What else you want from him?
Right.
Look how you come for the brother. It's ridiculous. Give me some more.
Oh God.
Hold on, where we at?
That the Continental Congress.
Oh, we're in the last paragraph, right? Okay, somewhere right in there. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh God.
That the Continental Congress felt like Jefferson's anti-slavery sentiments were too controversial, but the accusation of instigated insurrections was not. Suggests just how successful their campaign had been. Patriot leaders
right. So now the anti-slavery sentiments were too controversial.
Right.
That's what Congress felt like because, of course, remember they cut Jefferson's what he wrote.
Yep.
So there's like, man, all this anti-slavery talk you're talking, that's too controversial for us right now. Meaning, really, that's not the ingredients we need right now. Right. We don't need to, feel sorry for kids in cages on the border. We don't need to feel sorry for the immigrants on the Mexican border. That was the rhetoric. Right. Like, they can't come. This is our country. That's the rhetoric. Right. Because he really wants his people to have that fear to drive them together. You understand? That whole Trump campaign was his historic campaign repeated. Yep. It's a historic campaign repeated because that's the only thing that brings these oppressors together. Right. The hatred of a common enemy. The enemy is always us. Right. It's never anybody else. You ain't never heard them shoot up some Arab after 9/11. No. Never. After the Boston Marathon. Never. Give me some more of them terrorist attacks. Any one of them, when they drove the truck in New York, the Home Depot truck in over there in Times Square, you ain't never seen them do nothing like that. You never seen them pull over no Arab and shoot him 60-something times. Right. Their hatred for us is what gives them independence. Right. That's what you ought to understand. That's their independence. The hatred, that was bring them together and give them that feeling of they have their country. Right? Give me the last part where he says you can't talk about independence without race. It's somewhere in this last paragraph here. Slacky, go ahead, Dawda.
I had a question. Okay, so with that being said, like when he was saying, recruiting the slaves or the natives was rejected, and it said, what else it said? It said something about, you can move as a state, an independent state, as you wish. So it's just like saying now y'all can deal with the slaves as y'all see fit.
That's the compromise. That's that John Adams, brother. He was a crafty devil. Yeah. He was so crafty. Like that's how he wanted to. That's the compromise and bringing them together. Right. Yes, we're gonna be under one. Yes, with some things you're gonna have one head that makes decisions, which is where your federal government laws come in. That's for every state. Then you have state level operation. Right. So each state could operate independently and do what the hell you want to do, which is how you get Juneteenth. You understand? Because of course, Texas decide we's keeping these niggas. Right. And we're not letting them go, even though everybody else. Right. You get the point? Like that's the compromise he done made with them for them to come together. Right. and it's rooted in the racism. Their independence is rooted in the racism towards blacks and Hispanics, not, you know, separate. For anybody who thinking we're not the same, we are the same.
Right.
Even the oppressor, as he trying to get his independence, he realized we are the same. You get the point? Keep going on.
Oh God. Patriot leaders found one thing that white colonists shared: racism.
Say it again.
Oh God. Patriot leaders found one thing that white colonists shared: racism. The founders embraced and mobilized colonial prejudices about potentially dangerous African Americans and used those fears to unite the colonists in one common cause. For too long, we have taken an elderly John Adams at his word about what brought the 13 colonies together. He had forgotten purposefully how 4 decades earlier he had mobilized American prejudices about black people, what today we would call racism, to get the colonies to come together as one union. That effort made America independent, but it also buried race deep in the cornerstone of the American Republic that was born on July 4th, 1776.
You understand? Like, that's the history of your 4th of July. That's a history they'll never ever want to say or ever want to bring out. And you ain't gonna ever hear it anywhere else but the UPK, but the Israelite School of UPK. You'll never ever hear it. You understand? Because we get to the bottom and the root of every goddamn thing. You understand? That independence was totally based. The motivation for it came from the hatred of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You get the point? So don't be too surprised when you see around this time is excessive. Remember the year before, Vox Booker was going on some picnic in Indianapolis with his white friends and was passing on somebody's land. And they said, leave the nigger, we are going to lynch him. And it was white men and white women. And Vox Booker friends would not leave him. And they wanted them to leave him so they could have lynched him. And this is the July 4th act. This is their independence when they're supposed to be happy and doing fireworks and stuff. But this is inbred in them. This is my country, not yours. You get the point? That's how they operate. So you better be careful, you out there. This is time to separate from these people out. Totally separate. You and independent. This is not your independence. And when you see them doing to us what they're doing, know where it comes from. You get the point?
It's like I said, you brought out something heavy. And right before you came down, I was telling Quash, what that devil did in Highland Park is the American way. That's the American way. To just murder and to fear unjustly blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans. Like what he did is the absolute American.
It's definitely the American way. But it's what's more the American way is the hatred of black people. But I don't think he was shooting black people. He wasn't targeting. He was just randomly picking out anybody. In fact, what he did was the way of the oppressor, which is to kill the old and the young. But what they do to us, that's the American way. That's the overkill. Brother, 60-something shots with what, 10 cups, maybe 5 cups, 8 cups. I know somebody had to reload on that shit. Somebody had to reload. I mean, 8 by what? Let's say 17. That's how much? Yeah, that's 130 something rounds. If everybody have, that 19 or something. But brother, 60 something shots hit him. And then the rest is spread out all over. That was, that was a joy shoot. That was a joy shooting. That was not I feared for my life because they ran to him. How the fuck you could fear for your life, excuse my language, and you're running to him. You ain't even seeking cover behind the damn cruiser. No, but this is yours. This is my country. It's 4th of July. Ain't no nigga gonna live around here.
If I could start like a personal experience, like some of these horses, firing ranges, the instructions is actually like embedded into it. Like they'll tell you to shoot into the chamber lock back, meaning you have to empty out your clip. Like, and this is actual tactical form of shooting to where you're not. I see you look like one is going to stop you. Even if I know one is going to stop you, like there's a training course. Yeah, that's it. And then when you're talking about like it's one of the high class one, that's base level that you shoot. Now that it come across as if it's for the safety of everyone in the range that you empty out your clip, meaning that by the time we stop shooting and we put the guns down, that nobody has any rounds in the chamber or in the clip. It's actually that's a tactical way of shooting.
It's a self-defense routine, because even with the police training, and this is not to give the police any type of defense, even the police training where they do the trainings where they fire 2 and 3 round bursts. There's been cases, you could look it up on YouTube, where the cop he's engaging a threat and he shoot 2 and then 3 and put his gun down because of the just training that over and over, and he got shot. You get the point? So they tell you do that, but that's if there's a threat, nigga. That's if there's somebody engaging you. You keep shooting until you're empty while you reload and your partner puts it out. But y'all run this brother down. Y'all go on the side of his car. Get out, get out. He dip. And y'all ain't just chase. Y'all. And what was they pulling him over for? Was he a suspect in some, 18-month long sting? Like, what was the whole pursuit for? That 4th of July spirit is a murderous spirit, It's an absolute murderous spirit. Slaki, I think he had a sign up.
Slaki, so just to piggyback off what y'all said, I seen the other day, not surprising, that at the police range, they have pictures of all black people.
Yeah, you'll find that. You're gonna find all of that shit out because they're trying to train for you. Go ahead. Oh, no sweat. If you had a roll, go ahead. Yep, since up there.
He was like, even the fact of the fireworks, like, okay, why we like the fireworks? Like, what does that stand for? Does it stand for war?
It's the rockets fighting the British. Even the anthem, it tell when the rockets that fly and after the smoke, you know what I mean? Yep, since up there. You know what I mean? It's that part. You get the point? It's war. It's symbolizing the war. It's just really remembering war. But as you remember war, we went to war extra hard to make sure these niggas stay underfoot. You understand? Okay, quickly, let me get this Tithes. Did the Truth Seeker ever reply? Yeah, because Truth Seeker, he ain't about seeking no truth. He's one of them sodomites that IUIC need to pray for. Right? Give me Tithes real quick. In Deuteronomy, you could use the one he pulled. Give me
Deuteronomy 14-22.
I'll take that. Give me Malachi 3 and 8. Right, real quick. You'll just give me about 7 minutes, and then we're done.
So which one you want first? His scripture or the scripture you asked for?
You could pull that scripture.
Okay, Malachi, the book of Malachi.
No, the one he
Okay, come to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14. He asked for Deuteronomy 14:22 through 29.
Let's read that.
Verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. Verse 23. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thine oil, and of the firstlings of thy herds, of thy flocks, and of thy flocks. And thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. Verse 24. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money.
Oh, that's in scripture he pulled?
That's scripture he pulled.
So wait, hold on. So Truth Seeker, if you read on, you would have seen where tithes is money. Read it again from the top with the grain and the corn.
From verse 23. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thine oil, and of thy firstlings of the herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. Verse 24. And if the way be
right,
too
so
long,
now paying your tithe is a way to do what?
That thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always.
Always. It's to show your fear of the Lord.
Right.
and it's to show your wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom or knowledge. Right. That's, you paying your tithes is something so spiritual. It's people think it's something slight, but it's not. Right. You understand? Always, it said. All right, go ahead.
Verse 24. And if the way be too long for thee.
Right. If the way to go pay this tithes, the way to go and drop this off to the priest, to drop off what? To drop off your flocks, your herds, the corn, this, that, the other, your what's called them thing, like your food stuff, right? Which is really what it is, because he's trying to say tithes is food. Right. If the way is too long, go ahead.
So that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee.
Right, because you had to bring your tithes into that place where the priest dwell. Right, so that you got to go pay it to the priest. You got to always bring it in. It might be too far to bring this cattle, or if you had to kill it and bring the meat might not last the journey. The corn may not last the journey. The tomatoes may not last the journey. If it's too far to bring it, go ahead.
Which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee.
Right, so that whichever place is that is where the Lord choose to set his name there. And which today, what's that place? How you know the Lord chose a place to set his name there? Even let's just say go back to here, where it said the Lord chose to set his name there. How would you know where it is?
That's where the priest would dwell?
No, the priest would tell you, come here. That's how you know the Lord set his place here. Right. The priest of the Lord will say, bring it here. Do this there. Passover is there. That's how you would know where the Lord set whichever place. Right. You get the point? Go ahead.
God will come. When the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money.
Right. When the Lord thy God has blessed thee. Right. Because whatever increase you get is from the Lord. Right. And he's going to bless you. At that time, you do what?
Then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand.
So now, if that's too far for you to bring it, turn it into money and bind up thy money in thy hand. Go ahead.
And shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose.
Whichever place that priest tell you to bring the money. So that truth seeker, whichever city you in, whichever state you are in, you make sure you change whatever corn you're holding over there in that little house you have, or whatever oil you're holding over there, or whatever, lamb or cow or whatever it is you're holding over there, you change that into money and you bring it to the Israelite school at ISUPK, because that's the place the Lord chose for you to bring it. Go ahead.
God will come. Verse 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household.
Right, and when you come in there, that money will be for whatever you was going to bring. Right. That's why he say whatever your soul lusted, meaning whatever you was going to bring, whatever you wanted to bring for that tithe offering from the corn or the 10% of the oil, that money would be for that. Right. That's what that money would be for. Tithes is money. That's the first thing. Tithes is absolute money. Don't nobody get it twisted. And if you think otherwise, then nigga, where's your corn? Right. Then where's your lamb? Where's your cow? Where's whatever? Right. Where is it? Bring it. Right. If that's the case. Bring it if you think tithes is not money, but you're not going to bring either. Right. All right. So I hope that answered truth seeker question. Give me Malachi. Salaki, go ahead.
No, I was about to say that.
Oh yeah, give me Malachi, and then just before we roll, somebody give me Hebrews 7.
The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings.
Read one more time.
God will come. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me.
Right.
But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings.
Right. For people like Truth Seeker who was saying, explain how it says tithes is corn. If you read on one verse more, it tells you if it's too far to bring the corn and to bring the lamb that the Lord give you as an increase, change it to money. which means go sell it and get money. Like how, and what are you selling when you sell your lamb that you raise, or your cow that you raise, or your corn that you raise? What are you really selling to get the money?
Your value is your money. Your work.
Your work. You put work into it. You was tilling the ground. You was watching the corn for pestilence. You was raising up that lamb, and putting it, separating it from the bigger one so it don't get trampled. You giving your work for money. You don't got no lamb today. You don't got no farm, Negro. You don't got nothing. Right? The corn you getting, that's somebody else's corn that they sold to you. That ain't your corn that you work for. The corn that you work for is the salary you getting from your job. Give me 10% of that. Bring it in here. Bring it to the UPK. Whichever city you in, you find that place, that place of the Lord. How you know it's the place of the Lord? The priest said it's there. The priest of the UPK says it's there. Take it into that UPK in that city and put your name on that envelope. Put tithes, put the date, and put the amount that's in the envelope and drop it off. And that's your tithes. All right? Don't rob the Lord. Right? You talk to anybody who asking about it and thinking it's corn, they'll say, well, they don't rob the Lord, but they have robbed the Lord in tithes. All right? Real quick before we roll. Salaki on the time. Give me Hebrews 7. Hebrews 7, give me let me see where it starts. Start at 4.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils. Verse 5. And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law.
Right? So verily, Abraham paid tithes, and Levi has a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law. Right? And according to the law we just read, if it's too far, you ought to change your work, your corn and your lamb into money and go give it to Levi. Right? Go ahead.
That is of their brethren. Though they came out of the loins of Abraham.
Right? Though they came out of the loins of Abraham, they just like every other tribe. Those brothers have to give Levi money. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 6. But he whose descent is not counted from them receive tithes.
1 second. Shalom, so you have some chapter. Council. Right. Okay. Okay. I was just wrapping up the class. You're going to call you right after? All right, so you're from chapter. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, verse 6. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises.
Right? So now, but he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham. Right? Who blessed him that had the promises. What does that mean?
Basically, everybody that came out of the loins, the Levites came out of the loins of Abraham. They paid tithes, even though they were given the order that they collect tithes.
No.
So like Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, even though Melchizedek didn't come from out of the Levites. He was in the Levites.
Exactly. Remember, the law is to give the tithes to Levi because that's the priesthood.
Right.
You couldn't be a priest if you wasn't a Levite.
Right.
You understand? The law was take your 10%, whether it's corn or oil, or you're going to change it and go give it to Levi.
Right.
But he bringing the point that Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, who is not a Levite. You understand? His descent is not counted. That's what it means here. Whose descent is not counted, meaning you can't say what tribe Melchizedek come from. You understand? Right? And blessed him that had the promises. Right? And Melchizedek blessed him, meaning Melchizedek blessed Abraham, who's the one who has the promises, the covenant. Right? Keep going.
Verse 7. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better.
All right. What does that mean? You try it again.
Melchizedek was the priest. He was better than Abraham. He blessed him.
That's it. The less is blessed of the better. The lesser is blessed of the better. Right? That Melchizedek was better than Abraham. So now Paul is running this down. Anybody knows why Paul is running this down to the Hebrews?
Because there were cats at that time. I believe it was disputings about the tithes.
They didn't want to pay Paul tithes.
Right.
And Paul had to check them. They didn't want to give no tithes to Paul at all.
Right.
You understand? Which is why this is important for two reasons. For people like Truth Seeker who say, tithes is corn. That's why he say not to help no church or no camp. Well, nigga, if tithes is corn, give me your corn. But you don't care about that tithes. Really, you just don't fear the Lord. Because in Deuteronomy, it says paying tithes is to keep you in fear of the Lord always. But he don't want to fear the Lord. He want to do what the hell he wants. So that's one reason. Second reason is stinking Creflo. Creflo is coming up against this tithes now because he doesn't fear the Lord either. He is stinking Christian. You get the point? Go ahead, Yahanna. Come on.
If I may, and that same Truth Seeker, well, who have you been giving your tithes to then? Who's corn? Where's your corn?
Where's your corn pile?
Right.
Where's your big pile of corn and your vats of oil and your frozen lamb legs? Where's all this stuff going to? You get the point, Yahanna?
I would say in this chapter, Paul was also talking about because the Levites, they're born into their position, and some of them weren't putting in the work like he.
Well, that's what we're gonna come to here now. All right. The less is blessed of the better. Hold on. We are skipping to. We say in his loins. 10. So keep reading. 8, 9, and 10.
Come. Verse 8. And here men that died receive tithes.
And here he said men that die receive tithes, meaning what? Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. Melchizedek has no beginning of days or ending. You understand? So this man he paid tithes to was never born and he never died. He's greater. But here, you pay tithes to men that die, men who's, not even that great. You get the point? As Melchizedek. You get the point? Go ahead.
But there he receiveth them, of whom it is witness that he lived.
Right, that he liveth. But here, but there he received Abraham paid tithes to he who liveth, meaning what you serving is a dead thing now. You need to serve the thing that's living. You need to serve the better priesthood. That's what he's trying to tell them. That they should be paying tithes and they should be paying tithes to him. Because why? What's Paul going to do with the tithes?
He's going to take care of the lesson.
That's true, but no. I know some history with this too.
So if I may, he was funding all the schools.
He was funding all the schools, but before that, Paul had to report to Peter. He had to go to headquarters. Even before Paul left to go build them schools, he had to go check in with Peter first. Right? You read Acts, it'll tell you that. As Acts or Romans, on the early part of it, it'll tell you that he had to go to Jerusalem to check in. Because who was in charge? Peter. Exactly. He's collecting it. Whose money is that? It's Peter's money. You understand? Before he even started dishing, that shit had to get checked. Get the point? That's the whole spirit of it. Now, if Peter just tell him, you got it, you do whatever you want with it, that's different. But that ain't his. But compared to them, who he's talking to, that money is his. You understand? But that money ain't really his. That money comes, that's headquarters, that's Jerusalem's money. That's where the priesthood is. That's where the king is. That's where the king's stead is staying, which is Peter. You get the point? Keep reading, Salakia.
Verse 9. And as I may so say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, payeth tithes in Abraham. Verse 10. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him.
Right? And he's saying, if you want to say Levi is the only one who could receive, Levi paid tithes while he was in his daddy's nuts. That's what Paul is saying. When he's saying his loins, meaning while Levi was swimming in his daddy's nuts, he paid tithes to Melchizedek through Abraham. You get the point? He had to cut them because they was coming up against him proud. They didn't want to give him nothing. Remember, at this time, Paul was the one who held the coats of them who stoned Stephen. All right. I think Stephen was one of the brothers who was part of the 12 after. And then after, they had to draw straws to replace Stephen with Matthias. Right. So Paul was there, when they killed one of the brothers. Paul was there in his early career. He was persecuting Israel and then changed. So as he's going through, he was too Gentile for Jerusalem and too Jerusalem for the Gentiles. So when he would go out to the Gentiles, they would look at him like, you not one of us. When he goes to Jerusalem, they look at him like, you not one of us. So every now and then he had to come up against them and check them this way. Right. And when you read on in this, so what I read here was just to prove that in the New Testament, tithes was being collected, 10% like it always was from Genesis. Right. And when you read on, this is when he cut them and let them know the Levite priesthood was over. Right. That priesthood was ineffective. It was over. You need a better priesthood, a newer priesthood, which is the priesthood of Melchizedek. Creflo is a liar. What's the other thing we dealt with tonight? Independence Day, the spirit of it is a bloodthirst for the death of Israel. Right. That's what your Independence Day is. They really want to be free of you. Right. That's what they really want to be free of. Because they're independent right now. Right. The war should be over. Right. But they have a continuous war with us. And every one of them purple sodomites is faggots. Right? With that, we pass the class over to priest and officer Shapap. So like here again in the time.
I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We're at I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under Commander General Yahanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves in the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10 through 8. Means 10th in Hebrew is 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher, priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation.
Don't forget to after the high holy day, remember to bring up the Chicago fire weekend.
Come. Memorial of blowing of trumpets. First day of the 7th month, Sunday the 25th September 2022. You'll find this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24 through 25. Also, we have the fire weekend, the Chicago cookout, in the weekend of July 21st. What is it? July 23rd through the 24th? Through the 24th. Remind Achaman Akwathia to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K. events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headband, and scarf. And with that, I say Ahmadiyya, which means to stand. Want to give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel. Ahmad Shabbat, Ahmadiyya, Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barak Atah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barak Atah.
Yahweh Matah,
Class dismissed.